be hidden, like what's maybe fully in Antarctica or outer space and stuff. So like every one of these has something, and with the dual pole, there would have to be something going on with the east-west. So the Pacific Rim or the Pacific Ocean surrounding, that would be where there's kind of a something that would, whether they're hiding something or an anomaly or something that would need to be deciphered exactly how that's working. So it's just that's just, in the way I see it right now, that's like the dual poles issue, as it were. That's one of the biggest issues with it, is that east and west, and what happened, and how does the sun circuit in that way, and then what happens if you just went directly west from the equator. So it's just like the dual poles thing, but the AE map has a bunch of its things. The globe has way more, I would say. The globe has a whole load of issues, so it's just they each have a piece that's not fully accounted for.
So before AEMAP, you had Homer, who believed in the flat Earth model, with the snow globe type of model. You had Hesiod, and then in Babylonian cosmology, they had the same
Bro, you appeal
concept.
to history for
Sumerian,
everything, dude.
Egyptian. I'm looking at it right now. Mayan, Aztec, Incan, Navajo. Oh, you have Thales, also same thing. Thales described a simple model of a small flat Earth surrounded by a sheet of water with a single vast sphere. This sphere carried the stars and revolved daily around an axis. Jain cosmology, Buddhist cosmology, Chinese cosmology, across the board, it was basically a snow globe. Yes, there's some differences, but it's the flat Earth. None of them understood it to be any type of dual pole or in the concave or anything like that.
Well, wait, where are you getting that they define the pole, like whether there's a south and a north kind of hemisphere from that? Here, I'm going to post this one real quick. This is one that New Perspective had made, but he had it sideways. I just rotated it. Um, but see, it shows, I mean, it's still a circle, and you have the four corners as well. And it's the way electric field lines work. And it has a kind of quote unquote northern hemisphere and a southern hemisphere, the way the globe does. You can circumnavigate Antarctica. Antarctica is a continent. One of the biggest issues is the east west. Because, dude, the thing is, like, the globe Earth, like, when you spin it on Google Earth, the back of it is like all blue, like the Pacific Ocean. Like half of the ball of the globe Earth is like I've been calling it the blue side of the ball when you spin it. So if you put it not the blue side of the ball, you're basically looking at that. You've got just the continents, like that's it. That's half the ball, the globe Earth. That's it. It's like half the ball. And then you got this Pacific Ocean thing, which is on the whole back of it. But what this does is there's all the continents, just like similar to the globe in a way. It's not on a ball though. This is kind of more showing a planar representation of it. But it's like the Pacific is the rim on the outside. So it's kind of similar in that way. Like that's the way the continents, and then even the Mercator maps and the square maps that kind of have all the continents laid out that way. And I'm not saying obviously that that's perfect. The biggest issue with this is the east-west circumnavigation. That's the thing that would need to be deciphered, what is going on there, and the north-south. But I mean, what you were reading there, like because you could still have, this could be a circle, and you still have the four corners. You also have the Eastern traditions and the Western. It's like actually East and West. Like if you put North, South, East, West on that.
I agree with Lion. I think you guys should go Glober.
Well, I'm looking at Brandon. I'm looking at
No,
so there's the Vikings.
It's just not a globe. So if someone thinks it is, go for it. But in my view, it's just not a globe. So that one's just out. But if someone wants to cling to it or think it's some kind of intermediary, I mean, go for it. Like everyone's in their own viewpoint. Everyone's got their own way of viewing all this. And if that's where you think the truth is, then that's the easy route, I guess.
So
It's also
let me ask you, Gio.
Definitely not a sphere. Definitely not a sphere.
In the dual pole model,
a globe is
where
a
is this? Where is the center of the cosmos, like in the dual pole? Like,
oh, that's a good question. I guess
if it ain't the North Pole, then would the center now move to the equator?
Yeah, it's the equator.
Because the other dual pole guy, I forget his name. He's in here sometimes. He thinks the sun is actually at the equator.
Kezra.
The center.
Yeah, Kezra.
Well, this layout does kind of imply that the center of the whole realm. I mean, unless there's more land out there, though, who knows? There could be more land. There could be, etc. But I mean, I guess of this two pole thing, it would be in the center. Yeah. But I mean, if you go like to the equator, it does kind of look like you're at the center, like in terms of.
Yeah, Khazra, he's convinced that the center is at the equator, and I actually argued with him a little bit. And to me, that's just I can't, dude. I can't give up on our forefathers, the ancients, when again ubiquitously the center was at the North Pole, and the Vikings, they traveled to the south. They weren't ignorant of the south.
Vikings,
and
Vikings,
and they still understood the center of our realm being towards the north, like from their perspective.
Oh, they had battleships in the Civil War time period, dude. Where's the Vikings, dude? There's no Vikings.
Well, I mean, one thing, Lion, I will say about all this, like the one thing about the AE map, because even if we just erase the sky, just forget about the sky, the stars, the sun, right? Just all of it, GPS, just for the moment, just put all that to the side, and we just talk about the ground layout. The big thing about the AE map, it would be the huge distances in the south. So that's actually pretty easy to verify, at least within a range of easiness. I mean, it's still going to cost money and time and all that. But I mean, either a plane flight or a boat trip, like if you went to the Tropic of Capricorn and just started traveling, the difference in distance, that's what would be needed. Well, there's other things too, but I mean, that's one thing that would be needed to be shown, like the distances and the direction that you're heading that would actually fit that AE layout.
And I'm pretty sure the Phoenicians also reached, past the equator. I mean,
Oh
some
my
people
God.
might say that you don't think that people reached past the equator till fairly recently. You think they're completely oblivious and ignorant to the southern stars? Like, you don't think the Phoenicians are real? I don't know. Why are you laughing, dude?
No, I don't think any of them were
There's pyramids all over. There's pyramids in every continent. You're like, did they fucking reach the fucking seas? Like, yes, they traveled around the world with the fucking industries that moved fucking megalithic buildings that all look the same all over the world, dude.
I think they definitely knew about the south because it's not really hard to see the southern rotation, and you can tell the sun arcs the other way and that it's a mirror. It's symmetrical in the north and the south. The sun arcs opposite, and you have the 24-hour sun in the north. So I would say, I mean, unless depending on which ancients you're talking about and where they were and who they were, and I don't know, dude. That is getting into history and all that, but nonetheless, like, it's pretty easy to see there's a southern rotation and that it mirrors the north and that we're in a symmetrical world in that part of it.
And that's another thing. Like so we have people that live in Central America, around and past the equator, and they didn't get hold on, I'll post the sources right here, but they didn't give up on that model, dude, just because they live past the equator. Like, for whatever reason, and I wish maybe there's more writings out there that we need to find out, because how do you reconcile the southern stars, dude? Like, that's I don't know.
Yeah, the southern star. I mean, I think the AE map is cool. It's kind of like elegant. I like it the way that it all comes out from the center. Like, I think it's really beautiful. I like that part of it, and it is like just cool in that way, like the way that it comes out from the center, and like there's like a certain elegance to it. But like, what evidence do we have that any ancients actually thought that it was actually that map layout, like that version of it? I'm saying, because I mean, the way that the southern stars work, like, why would you ever think it's one pole?
We got the Antikythera mechanism. We got the Prague clock. We got all the flat Earth models seem to have like a center that's vortexual, like the Hindus.
Yeah, that is one thing. All the planets, when you line them over that AE,
vortexes,
it looks a lot better, right? I wonder what it would look like over the dual pole. Has anyone done that, Joe? Like the path of the ISS or something?
Well, that's an interesting question. I haven't seen the path of the ISS put on it, in particular.
There's no ancient, like, as far as all the ones that we have, they're all the flat Earth things have like a tree or a vortex in the middle, like an AE model.
Tor, I just want to say from before, you were trying to say like division, dude. I just feel like that was like some kind of an interjection, because I'm not dividing any, like, when I was talking about that. I mean, I have my viewpoints on some of these and why the AE map has a lot of, like, at least the way it's laid out, a lot of flaws to it. And those were issues that I've known about for years. It's not like that's brand new. Like, in terms of the sun rising south of east and setting south of west, like arcing the other way, straight line at the equator. I mean, I've used it and talked about it over the years, as we all have, as like a blueprint, and it's useful, especially in the north. But I mean, I feel like you jumped in. It was still stuck in my mind because you were trying to say it's like, oh, here it is, this big division. But I'm not putting forth any division at all. I'm not even saying it is a two pole. I would need to know more information. I don't have all
It's
the information.
inevitable. Gio, it's inevitable. People are, they're gonna fall into their cliques, into their groups, because some people are adopting the dual pole model, dude. It's inevitable that they're gonna go against us because we still stick to the AE. Well,
Yeah,
I
but
don't know
is
about
there?
12, but I still stick to the AE.
But is there an against? I guess maybe there are some. Are there some that are like two pole and against the AE one? I just haven't seen a lot of that. But I guess like maybe that like some guys maybe have been.
It's not that bad, but
Lion?
I can see it in the foreseeable future, the tension growing, like sort of like between concavers and flat earthers. You know how there's that unneeded tension, but it still exists. I can see that happening between dual pole and traditional AE or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, we're not gonna let you guys sit at our table at the AE table.
No, I hear you. I mean, I hear you, but I guess like yeah, there's different viewpoints. I guess with the AE, there's the one idea that is the truth. Even though I'm not saying the exact Gleasons, but that's one idea that is what the Earth realm is. The continents are laid out like the AE. Like I said, just leaving the sky aside for the moment, and that like let's say from that perspective that it is. I'm just saying, just hypothetically, as it were, that is the truth, and somehow that kind of made it through time, basically. Even though they're deceiving us with the globe, it made it through, and maybe it's not the exact correct thing, but that is it. And then people are like, that's it, right? And then there's the perspective that the AE is totally not it. The people in power know that it's not it, and that they're kind of pushing it as kind of this flat earther. Like if you're a flat earther, they want you pinged to that AE map. And then there's even the idea that it's like I've been throwing out the idea that it's like, is it like all-seeing eye symbology? I mean, they use it, the fact they use it for the United Nations, the World Health Organization. I mean, I know people have said, see, once again, there's two sides on that. People have said, oh, it's truth in plain sight. They're putting it right there. Then there's the other perspective. Well, no, that's like a gang symbol, basically, or like a deception symbol. And that the fact that they've tried to connect that to flat earthers with that AE thing, then the fact that like the idea of the sun circuiting Polaris is so easily debunked by the 24-hour sun thing. You can't really have like a 24-hour sun on the outside that rotates with you without having multiple, or that moves with you without having multiple GPs. The straight line of stars at the equator. So yeah, I mean, there could be people that would be getting attention of like, hey, the AE's false, therefore we don't want to just be, pushing something that's false, like the way that Jaron kind of got out of it all, I guess, because he felt like, oh, this is just bunk, so I don't want to just keep pushing this false thing. And then Jaron's just throwing all of flat Earth out with it. He's just saying the Earth can't be planar at all. So yeah, I hear what you're saying, but the way Tora said that, I mean, maybe Tora wasn't saying that I'm doing that. Maybe he was just saying in general there could be people that are going to use divisive rhetoric, but I guess it's already happening between Globe, AE, lots of different ideas.
That's kind of what I meant, Gio. It's the overall in general. After being in this, for a while and listening, I think I've come to the realization that they have pit people against each other, and it's not just anyone, because when you go out in the world, people will agree with you that water is level. They'll agree that vertical and horizontal are perpendicular. But there's a special group here, and I think we have a lot of great minds, and I think it would be awesome if we, were like, you know what, we might, and this is just my position again. I think it's impossible to know what it overall looks like. I think you can know locally and in reality what it is, but when it comes to the worldwide picture, I don't think we'll ever have an accurate depiction. So I was just like, we have a lot of great minds in here. Maybe we should put them to a lot of other cool things too, which we do for sure. No doubt. We do talk about other stuff.
But don't you think we can know? Like if somebody in here had $50 million, that's not enough to do everything that's needed, probably, to do like the whole, like every single test. But let's just say with 50 mil, you could do a lot. Like you could get a boat and a crew and map the Earth straight up. Now whether they come and kill you or something, I know there's like that idea, but like you could totally map it and we could know what it is. Like, do you not think that's within the range with the money, with resources?
I don't personally. I go out on boat. I fish a lot, so I'm out on boats regularly, and it's difficult to keep a heading for me personally. So I wouldn't be the guy for the job. Maybe there is people that can know exactly where they're going, and they might locally there. And I don't know if it transfers to like I don't know what to propose. I thought the 69 miles per degree, if we all started measuring that, that would be good because that would debunk the radius of the circumference of the equator, so we could like figure these things out. It's real simply, but like I don't know, it doesn't seem like anyone wants to do it. Like we could just be driving 69 miles and taking angles to Polaris and then driving another 69 miles. And we could all do this. And if we come to the conclusion that this 69 miles per degree is correct, then we have to figure out if the equator is a circle or a straight line, because that's one of the big things when I came to the realization the sun is traveling in a straight line on the equator. It changed a lot.
Tora, have you ever
Yeah.
done experiments?
Go ahead, Taylor.
What's that?
Have you ever done any experiments?
Yeah, well, I do work with water levels and whatnot. So
Oh, really?
I know that tool in reality sets up a horizontal plane, so that's kind of what got to me. And now I have the Theodolite app on my phone, and I've been
Mhm.
taking angle measurements to Polaris, and they are matching my latitude, so I'm going to be going out doing that. I did a lot of long distance photography, and I've done the how far can we drive this boat out until we see it disappear? Those
Yeah.
things.
Man, I can't wait to I've been like going through all these pictures and stuff from the trip. I had like almost like at least half a terabyte of data and pictures that I've been like working on even earlier. I was going through them and so excited to like get all this stuff together for this experiment I did. There's so many videos and like measurements. I just have to like draw them all out. So I'm super pumped to get with the theodolite 8 looking for 8 inches per mile squared.
Nice. Yeah, we're looking forward to
I'd
that.
be willing. I'd be willing. I don't. I guess I could find Polaris like on the app, but like I'd be willing to do that with you. Like if you know if anybody else wanted to do that, look for the angle measurement Polaris. I'd be willing to do it. So mark me in. But we just have to have other people too. I'm always down to do experiments. So,
I'm all for it being, just like how, just like I've heard Arwen explain a Mercator map and portals. I'm fine with all that. But the thing that I'm realizing is like if it is speculation to the fullest, like I'd love to like what do you think, Gio? We could know. You think with that 50 million and traveling over the oceans, we'd have it mapped out for sure. And would we use the sky? Like could we do it without using the sky? Cuz I think that's where we're getting into trouble here, right?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of complexity. I mean, well, do you think the military, like at the highest levels, have the correct one? Because I mean, they have obviously more than 50 million. They have all the airplanes and radars and all the equipment that would ever be needed. And I would say they do. Now, I know people that believe in the globe would say, oh, yeah, of course they have it. It's the globe. But obviously, if it's not a globe, then that's not the true one. So then, do you think they have the real one? I mean, one would think they have to, right, for military purposes, for knowing where to send their bombs and missiles, and so
I
that's one
I think they
question.
have it. I think they have it based off the sky, which does create the celestial sphere. So yeah, I do think that they have the globe, and I don't know if they have like a hidden lands or anything. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. I'm like 50-50 on the hidden lands. I love that idea, but I'm not exactly sure. Maybe at the
One
north
place,
there something.
one place we could start is I know there's some Navy guys in here, including myself. Unfortunately, I didn't know anyone on a ship. But like, say, if Andrew or someone else does, there's a quartermaster rate, and they deal with navigation. So, a good start could be how are they navigating, especially locally?
Yeah, but I mean, I think with the equipment, I mean, you're right. I hear what you're saying about using the sky. But yeah, I mean, if those guys could do it, or what they could do, the thing is, you would just need a lot of equipment. Like if you're just like a guy on the Navy ship, you could do some. You could use the sky. You could maybe try to plot some things, but and then of course there's GPS. But like to measure distances in the ocean, like one way to do it would be to, you go out a certain distance, you set anchor, and then you use like laser rangefinder or even like measure it with a rope with distance. You actually measure like, okay, that's 1 mile, let's say, and then you take another boat and go another mile, drop an anchor there. So now you have two boats anchored. Then you measure between those two boats. Then you take the first boat. You keep leapfrogging to where you're like literally anchoring your boat to the bottom of the ocean and then measuring it, and then either using ropes, using laser rangefinders between the boats as you keep doing it. That would be very arduous and would take a long time, obviously, but that would be one way to do it without using the sky out in the water. Measuring distance on land maybe is a little easier because you don't have like all the currents and everything, but that would still be a huge project. I mean, would 50 million even do that? But I mean, if you did that with the sky as well, I think it does seem like at a civilian level, meaning like not military or not whatever, like with the money, that unless they just came and killed you or something, but unless outside of that, like, that they're just going to come take you out kind of thing. Yeah, I think you could get the layout of all the continents and the distances and the way the sky matches to it, and then do all the angles to stars as well. Like, I think you could come home after all that with a map that would be pretty accurate. Yeah, I think it's within range.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So to me, the reason, my justification for believing that it's unknowable is that I believe when you do map all that out, you'll come to something that's non-Euclidean overall, even though locally everything was Euclidean. And I think that is a mystery that the creator set up the heavens in a different dimension than he set up the ground. So as soon as we start to match the two together, you're going to run into this non-Euclidean to Euclidean thing that causes all these issues.
Dude,
And the
sounds
easiest way to explain it is a globe.
There's no such thing as a non-Euclidean thing, dude.
Yeah, like this. Okay, pi equaling 2 is non-Euclidean. So if you believe that it's 69 miles per 1 degree, and you work that, and you believe the equator is a circle, you get 6210 when you times it by 90. So 69 miles per degree from the equator to the North Pole times 90 is 6,210 miles. If you believe the equator is 24,901 miles around, which does coincide with the time in a day and all this, then pi has to equal 2, because you have to get the circumference at that point of the equator, you would do 2 pi r. And if you use 3.1415, you get almost a 39,000 mile around equator.
Yeah, are you talking about? Yeah, it just means the equator distance on the AE map is not correct.
Yeah, or the sky is non-Euclidean.
The sky is non-Euclidean.
Yeah, and you end up with pi, like reality on the worldwide scale is non-Euclidean, but in your local it is Euclidean, and I think the creator made it that way specifically for you.
All right, well, real quick, I was going to post this. I made this the other day. I'm not saying this is correct, but it is potentially like this is the 2-pole one, but it has I just basically drew lines on it. New perspective put the northeast, southwest, and then which would be like the four corners of the earth kind of concept potentially, and then I just put the 6210 would be like the distance from the equator to the north, and then equator to the south, and then I guess you'd have like two 12,000 sections, like if that equator is 24,000. Obviously, that's treating the equator as a straight line, not as a circle on the AE map, but you could have 6210 between the equator and the poles, which is what the globe claims. I doubt that distance is very wrong. I mean, like we were looking at, like if you go from the equator and you just start doing the basic distances you can travel, going from Ecuador up, etc. Like if it was 4,000 miles, which is what the Gleason's shows. Like Q-Op, if you look at this is what he's talking. Oh, is it Q-Up left? Oh, he always just bounces. Anyways, this is the one that I think Alan had posted this. Obviously, some globe earther made this because it says that Earth is not flat, but it's pointing out the discrepancy in what you're saying, that the actual distance from the equator to the North Pole, as is claimed on the globe model, is 6210. That one says 6214, but yeah, it's like that 6200. And on an AE map, if you have a 24,901 circumference equator, the distance to the North Pole would be 4,000 miles. It's like 3963. It's like really close to what they claim the radius of the globe is. Now, if it was really 3963, that'd be surprising if they were able to deceive, 2,200 miles. That is a lot more distance. And you can get all the way to like 82 north. You can get all the way to like obviously 80 south at the Union Glacier, or even 90. But the one in the north, you can actually like drive it. So I haven't done that myself to measure the distance, but I would just doubt that it's the 4,000 miles. Just seems like that's a huge deception to pull off. But yeah, I mean, on a dual pole that doesn't need that circumference around the North Pole the way the AE does, you could have the 6210 between the equator and the poles.
Yeah, I do see that, and I've noticed that on that. So then, do you think the stars and the sun are taking these paths like the latitude lines, that they're not exactly circles, they're actually like these ellipses?
Well, I think on that, there's a bunch of those different types of projections that if people were to call these the dual pole, like there's a bunch of them, like if you look at the whole list of map projections on Wikipedia, like most of the major ones are either like this or the Mercator, which is like this, but it's just a square, or the globe or the AE. There's a couple others. So there's a bunch of them that are like this. Yeah, I think the kind of elliptical nature of those lines, I don't know. I think that's kind of like a representation from this type of projection. So
No, the latitude lines are derived off of that. Like we could do the sun circles, right, to get our latitude lines as well by taking measurements off the sun. Now that we know, it's 23 and a half. That's the latitude that it's over. So and then 0 and then 23 and a half. And they seem to be concentric circles from
well, for
the
example,
measurements people take.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Well, so this one I'm posting, shows the electric field lines. So that one kind of shows them not quite being very elliptical, but more circular. So yeah, it's a good question. But I mean, dude, it seems like the sky functions like an electric field. That makes a lot of sense to me. And then you look at like this one too, like the sort of classic Ferrocell electric field. So yeah, the ones on that 2-pole one that I posted look much more elliptical, where these look a bit more circular. Like you see how circular that is, like for the 24-hour sun points, that it is a circle. But then as it gets closer to the equator, you get more and more of that kind of that kind of effect. As you get closer to the equator, those lines start kind of converging more in those electric field lines. I made this little image too. I just threw the little yellow lines on there. But see how like the closer they get to the equator, the more they kind of straighten out basically. And then the further they get to the poles, they become more circular. So I mean, if it's anything like an electric field, and if it is something like this 2-pole, then I would think that those lines would be like an electric field like that, which don't necessarily have to be elliptical, but they would have to like change the shape kind of as it gets towards the equator. Because you can't have two circles, they turn into a straight line at the equator. You know what I mean? It has to blend.
Yeah. I wonder if this is why they say it's like flattened at the pole. You know what I mean? They give it a kind of a weird shape, because I always thought about that. It's not like they're getting that shape from the ground. I feel like they're getting that shape from the celestial sphere and interpreting it in some way. I don't know though, personally. So I could agree with you that those lines could be elliptical, not super, but like just like how those magnetic lines show. I could see what you're saying there.
Yeah. There's a lot more questions for sure, because yeah, like if this equator is a straight line over a planar Earth, then. But it is interesting to think of it as like an electrical circuit. That's kind of how I've been thinking about it more lately. That the sun actually is a a node on an actual electric circuit. It's not like an object that has to float different ways. Like it doesn't have to like float around in the sky in some way that we would think of like a regular object would. But if it's actually like following along these actual field lines. And then lastly, like this one I'll just post, which I know this sort of shows the geometry, is like that one on the vertical wall. That's basically a sphere projected horizontally, the coordinates of a sphere projected horizontally, and it creates that like stereographic. It's basically how you would flatten out the coordinates of a sphere. There's two ways to flatten out a sphere. You can do it the AE map way, where you go vertically north to south, you go straight down, which would kind of just map like the southern portion, basically like the southern hemisphere down on that one on the bottom. But then if you go horizontally, like east to west, you get that stereographic projection, because of course you have the North Pole, South Pole, straight line at the equator. So potentially if the sky is that stereographic, let's just say it's a planar sky for the moment, but if it was a planar sky that's that stereographic, it would actually function like a sphere, the celestial sphere. It isn't actually a ball, but the coordinates are of a sphere, which would fit why we have all the spherical dynamics in the sky, and why they can extrapolate and say, hey, Earth's a sphere, and that's a huge sphere surrounding us. It would make sense because the coordinates all match. Like that stereographic projection is, you know, in terms of how the stars would actually move, would match what a sphere would do if it was a huge sphere surrounding you with light years away stars. So that would be potentially why there's so much overlap between the globe model and then what we would refer to as a celestial sphere above a planar surface, which doesn't necessarily have to be an actual sphere around you. It can be, yeah, that kind of stereographic type projection, which again is that same pattern as the electric field. So yeah, I just find that all really interesting, how that all kind of seems to correlate with the way the sky looks and all that.
Yeah, no, it does leave open a lot of different questions, and you know what, I believe it's not like a big deal pursuing and considering what it possibly could be by any means. I'm not saying that's the issue. I think it's when it's like gets into like, oh, it has to be globe or it has to be flat, and I don't see you putting forward that kind of behavior, Gio. I was just saying, like, I don't want us to end up in now there's like the AE versus the this versus the that, you know what I mean? That'd be terrible to see us all split, because I see them doing that to Christians already. They like split them all up into different divisions, and now people just want to see them infight, and it kind of the truth gets lost, you know.
No, I hear you, but I think there's also a way in which people are kind of, it's like a race towards the truth at this point, you know, like, of course, from the perspective that the Earth isn't a globe, then what is it, you know? And then, I mean, as far as we know, the ancients always had kind of a planar Earth, and then there's the globe, and then I guess concave. Somebody could kind of invert that, but I don't know if there's any, have there been any other ones that people, I mean, is like a cube Earth, or are there any other like serious ones in terms of like the base geometries? But I mean, I do hear what you're saying, but I think there's a way in which like people are trying to get to what the truth is. So if someone thinks, oh, it's definitely not the globe, and they think it's the AE map, then they're going to be like, no, the globe's bad, it's the AE. If someone thinks it's dual pole and not the AE, they might be like, dual pole, it's not the AE, you know, and vice versa. If someone thinks it's a globe, they're going to say, you're all wrong, it's totally the globe. So yeah, it's kind of the nature of humans to do that. But I mean, I agree with you with not dividing, like on an authentic and natural journey of discovery, you know, together as it were, not having like dogma or pushing all kinds of like, you know, division or like, you know, trying to, but you know how it is with all these discussions though, people do get passionate and like, oh, this is right, you're wrong, you know. And I think there's some healthiness to that, kind of sharpening the swords and trying to get to what the truth is. And I think some people feel like they need to defend what they think the truth is, and then they need to, you know, suppress others that they think are speaking falsely or speaking misinformation or whatever. But I agree with you though, like being the kind of general sentiment of what I'm getting from what you're saying. Like if I were to add in like trying to have compassion and gratitude and appreciation for everyone's perspective, and then kind of let the truth stand on its own instead of having it be like some kind of, you know, line in the sand with a sword and ready to chop off heads, you know, if you think someone's wrong.
Yep, yeah, it is. That's it, exactly right. And it does get heated, you know, and in those moments, you know, we might start to feel like we're trying to draw a line. But if we enter into those heated moments, into formal, discussion and debate, that it's actually an argument is made or this, and we don't have the ad hominems, this could be like, an epicenter for finding truth.
That was very valuable. I think Noah's a little globe curious too, right?
If you mean like a sphere when you say globe, I don't think anyone would think the Earth is a sphere.
Just to comment on what you said, no, I had to step away for a sec from my mic, but yeah, man, I mean, I think like even the idea of like, even outside of the name that this server has a name Awakenings on it, even if we just the word, just awakening in general, the idea that humanity is in an awakening of sorts, meaning like we've all been asleep, we've been deceived in some way, we were told the earth is, something that it's not. And then coming like, the idea of like waking up and being like, wait, where am I? What's going on? We've probably all had that experience too, where like you're in such a deep sleep. And then when you wake up, you're like, wait, like what part of my life am I in? Like, what room am I in? Like, where am I? Kind of thing. People, it's kind of a common experience, right? When you're coming out of sleep. And then obviously as you wake up, you're like, oh yeah, right. I'm this age, I'm in this house, because people have lived in different houses. And I know I've had that experience a few times where I wake up and I feel like I'm like in the room when I was a child or whatever. And then I wake up, I'm like, oh no, I'm like 40 years old or whatever, 43. But yeah, so from that perspective, unless somebody claims they have all the answers or they know 100%, then yeah, there is like a very genuine unfolding. And I think it is good to, to be able to let all the ideas flow and keep everything on the table in terms of, and respect other people as much as possible, but along it, because yeah, it's like as a human race, we're putting it together. So it's a big process.
Well, cheers to that, Gio. We're in it to win it.
And what if it all, at the end of the day, if we do all the mapping, we do it all, what if it was just like, oh yeah, that's what it is. There it is. We're just sitting at it, looking at a map on the table. Like, what if it's in the end, it's like that simple? Like, oh yeah, there it is. That's the layout. That's the way the sky works. I mean, not that we know exactly like how the functioning of the sky works and like every answer, but at least this part of it, like, oh yeah, that's what the Earth actually is. I suspect it would be to that level of it. Like, I know there's some, ideas that like, oh, we could never know and stuff, but I think we're on a real place with a. It's like we're in a huge room. And it's like, all right, what is the layout of the room we're in?
Exactly. Do you think that when we die, we'll figure it out and see?
Oh, like there's.
I do, yeah. I think so. I think we know when we die.
Well, if you're Christian, you won't find out when you die because Yahweh keeps secrets.
Yahweh what? Keep secrets?
Yeah, like in the garden, he doesn't want people to have the knowledge of good and evil.
Are you talking about when you die, though?
Well, in general,
you know the Hebrew word for the knowledge there? Like,
I don't speak Hebrew.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it means like to kind of become one with something, like knowing something in the Bible meant to become one with it. Like David knew not a servant, meaning that they didn't have sex. And so it's more than just knowing something. But was there a reason that you kind of brought that up out of left field?
It's just through sexual.
He may be trying to spark a debate on the.
Well, she said, do you think we'll know things after we die? If she's right and Yahweh's like, it's Yahweh's heaven, it's going to be very compartmentalized, just like this world here. He doesn't like people knowing the truth.
Do you have like a verse for that?
The fucking apple it has the knowledge of good and evil, and he doesn't want people to eat it. So he doesn't want you to have knowledge.
But you don't even know the Hebrew word for knowledge. Like you didn't even know the full
context
what the
Hebrew word for knowledge. I think I'm wrong. Is that not what the fucking?
What?
What does the word of in Hebrew matter?
It wasn't an apple.
That's what it was like written in. So, is there
No,
something that you have
written
against
in
God in the
Greek.
Bible?
Greek. It's a Greek book translated to Hebrew.
No, the Old Testament was in Hebrew. If you would know that.
No, there is no Hebrew Old Testament. There's no classical Hebrew.
Do you know what the Dead Sea Scrolls are?
Oh, the Dead Sea Scrolls? Yeah, that's your Bible. It's like 2 pages, like 2 burnt pages.
Yeah, that's how I know you don't know what you're talking about, because they weren't pages; they were copper, and it wasn't 2.
Copper?
There's like,
Where is there copper old Dead Sea Scroll? What are you talking about?
The Dead Sea Scrolls were copper. Why don't you look it up?
Where?
Maybe you learned something. Found in the Dead Sea.
In reality?
Near the Dead Sea.
It helps to kind of know what you're talking about when you bring up topics like this. There was 825 to 950 separate scrolls, so it wasn't 2 burnt pages, and they weren't pages like paper. They were made of copper. And they weren't burnt. They were degraded, if anything, but many of them were very well preserved.
Oh, they look burnt. I guess maybe they are copper. Okay, but still, this doesn't come close to what the Greek Septuagint has. So you still have to appeal
it's
to
older than the Septuagint.
Oh my god, dude, you're such a normie, dude.
I'm a normie because I know what we're talking about. This is your topic.
This is
and I know more
older
about it than you.
Because they said so.
Because they said so, you think that's how I came to it?
Yes.
You'd be sadly mistaken.
Do you believe in dinosaurs?
I believe in Nephilim.
Do you believe in dinosaurs?
I believe in Nephilim. I don't think dinosaurs are real. The word dinosaur was made up like in the 1800s.
So they lie. So the mainstream lies and they present fake artifacts like dinosaur bones.
I don't necessarily think the artifacts are fake. I think that they're Nephilim.
Wait, queue up. You would have to agree people have the ability to discern between the truth and falsehoods, right? In reality.
How do you discern whichever one you believed? If it affirms your belief, you pick that one.
That has evidence.
How do you discern?
I don't believe in either of the copper or Dead Sea copper, whatever piece of shit.
Why do you believe the Septuagint then?
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
I don't believe it. I was
okay,
about to
then
say
why are you bringing it up?
Because the Hebrew version is translated from the Septuagint. That's just obvious.
No.
But what does that matter? It's all fake, dude. It's all fake.
Yeah, it's a fake story. That's really funny that you guys.
So what did you use to discern it was fake? That's what I'm asking you.
I'm not arguing that's fake right now. That's just my belief.
How do you determine that was actually true, that it came from the Septuagint?
Bro, I can't do 3.
No, you're saying that she can't discern between what could be true and false by what she's researched. So how do you do it? Maybe you should teach us how you do it. That way we'll be better at it.
I don't believe in I don't believe in anything the mainstream pushes. Dinosaur bones, Septuagint, or the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Do you believe there's like chlorophyll in plants and you have cells in your body?
Nice.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what you do believe or don't believe, dude. Because those are pushed by the mainstream. Do you not believe those things? That you have cells in your body?
You make bad arguments, dude. Don't let anyone tell you differently.
Do you believe in Tartaria?
These are bad arguments.
This isn't an argument. This is a question. You still can't present to me why it's fake, but it's okay.
I look at the buildings.
You look at the buildings? Is that what you said? You're muted.
I'm not answering, dude. You guys are spiraling. What am I? I'm just gonna fucking answer your random questions on it because you got mad.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of brought up random points. I played along with it. I'm just asking.
What happens after I die? Oh well, if you go to.
I didn't ask you that. I asked Gio that question, but it's okay if you want to spiral. Yes, I use the same word against you because I think that's what you're doing right now.
How we got here?
I mean, you're kind of spiraling from the junk by bringing up like unimportant, irrelevant topics just to like blame God for something.
You
the
The men,
Bible
very
out
cute,
of
very.
out of the left field, kind of. But it's okay. I just asked you if you believed in Tartaria. I think you said yeah because the buildings. But you know, in the same manner, you could just say they planted those. You know, everything. So how would we know?
Yeah, they made fake building artifacts all over the world.
Yeah, and they went and planted fake manuscripts all over the world too.
They can't even get rid of the fucking buildings. It costs them
Hmm?
too much to move the buildings, so they just fucking paint them red. But yeah, they're fake.
I never said that they were fake. I wouldn't actually posit that argument unless I had evidence for it.
Okay, so good job bringing this up.
I mean,
It's very
this all came up because you brought up some slight against God in the Bible. But it's okay. Most
Don't worry,
normies attack the Bible
we'll do it
too.
another time.
Most people in the mainstream doctrine, they want you to believe the Bible is a bunch of fairy tales. They
Oh
don't
yeah,
want you to believe the Earth is
they print it so much.
stationary.
That's why
They
it's the
don't want
most
you to
printed
believe
book ever. Yeah,
that
just talk
the
over.
Earth that there's a
So
firmament. They don't
constructive.
want you to believe any of that.
That talks over guys. Good job.
Taylor, you brought up something I haven't heard of, and I'm curious. The Nephilim idea, I haven't heard that concept before. Would you mind expounding on that? I would like to know.
Oh yeah, definitely. So the Nephilim, so this is the reason the flood had to happen. Because in the days of Noah, the watchers came down and corrupted the flesh, and this is why there's legends of giants all around the world. Some of the Nephilim were giants. Many Native Americans I just went and interviewed in the Four Corners regions of America were talking about their legends of the giants and how it's like common knowledge there that they existed. And so this is a product of Genesis 6 that talked about the watchers coming down into the daughters of men. This will be the B'nai Elohim, the sons of God, which are divine beings coming into the daughters of men and born Nephilim. And this is why we had these weird hybrid, kind of like the Egyptians, like you know how they have those hybrid looking beings on the walls, and you know, like
Well, I
half.
mean,
Yeah.
I know it's mentioned in Genesis, and it also mentions, I think, 6-fingered people. But yeah, no, I mean, tall people, giants, half giants, stuff like that. Yeah,
Native
I'm
Americans
following
have
you.
drawings of 6 fingers of a giant hand with 6 fingers next to a smaller hand with 5 fingers. So even if we don't want to believe the Bible, we can still go piece together this story from legends and stories all around the world and artifacts all around the world. You don't even necessarily have to use the Bible.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
you used a term that I haven't heard before. I haven't studied the Bible like in school or anything. I've just more self-taught. I've read through Hebrew, Greek, and then like go look up words in a Hebrew or Greek dictionary. You know, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
You use the word a watcher. What is that?
The B'nai Elohim, the sons of God. These were
Okay, so
angelic beings. These were angelic beings that God put to watch over the world. That was their appointed task. And they saw the daughters of men that they were beautiful and came into them and took them as they pleased.
Is there a reference in the Bible that says that they were to watch over, or because every time I've looked at that, they were more or less messengers.
Yeah, angels are messengers, but
Yeah.
angels they can also I think that angels have different tasks. Like according to I think some of the scriptures in the Bible, but also Enoch goes over the different angels that have different tasks, like of the winds and of the water and of different things, like regulating different things here on earth. And so some of them are messengers, and then you know some of them the seraphim. They're at the throne of God, and then they have you know watchers. They're meant to watch over mankind and kind of make sure everything's going smoothly, more or less.
You said Enoch?
Yes, that was also in the Dead Sea Scrolls.
I'd have to look at that. I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, the Book of Enoch.
Yeah.
You should look into it. It's really cool.
I mean, of course, besides the movie, but I don't think that's or is that the Book of Eli? Maybe. Now I'm getting confused. I think it's Book of Eli. That's the movie. Yeah. Jamie Foxx or whatever his name is.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, I'm just Googling Enoch. I'm also playing a game, so I might chimp out. But why are you super quiet, dude? Sorry, Bob's on playing the game with me, and he's super quiet. I'm not talking to him. But I was more or less curious about the Nephilim, and you basically answered that. So I didn't necessarily have any follow-up questions. Would you? I'm assuming you would consider yourself a Christian, or?
Yeah, yeah, I believe in the Bible, and I try to live it out.
That's yep. I would consider myself a Christian as well.
Cool. I think there's a lot of evidence for it that I came to logically through doing research. I didn't just blindly believe and because they told me so. That's not how I got there. My parents aren't like Christians in the sense that like they never talked about God ever when I was growing up, and it's still like a strange topic in my house. Like if you bring it up, like when I bring it up, my dad basically tells me like, "Oh, this is not the place to be. Like that's just for church and don't talk about that stuff." And he tells me to stop talking about it. But so I wasn't like raised believing this. So I basically did a lot of research to get where I'm at.
Yo, talking about your research you did, your Copper Sea Scroll is not part of the biblical canon of what the Dead Sea Scrolls are usually referring to. So the Dead Sea Scrolls are paper. The copper one is just a treasure map. So good work.
The copper one's a treasure map, you said?
You're asking questions. I thought you know about this.
I don't think that that's a correct statement. That's what I'm saying.
Work. Good work. Good job.
You said the copper one was a treasure map? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, it's not biblical.
Where are you reading that from?
I just searched it quick.
And do you know what was contained on them?
Yeah.
Let me just tell you what was contained on them. The most of the Old Testament was on the Dead Sea Scrolls.
You're talking about the paper Dead Sea Scrolls, not the copper part.
The Dead Sea Scrolls were made of copper.
Good work.
What?
I think he's just trying to make an argument.
You're done. How do you do it? Do it, Tora. Do it, Tora. She's done. She's done.
Did she leave?
I'm here. Why would I leave?
Okay. Okay. I was just like...
So the Dead Sea Scrolls were made of 99% pure copper with some tin alloy.
Bro.
Yes.
I'm telling you, the Dead Sea Scrolls are on parchment or papyrus. Those are the ones that have the biblical tests. The top copper scroll was found with it, and it talks about locations of buried treasure, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen the Dead.
I'll look into that.
So what? If it was,
What do you mean? So what, dude? I mentioned the Dead Sea Scrolls before. She's like, "You didn't know they were on copper?" I'm like, "No," and now I found out that that's not what we were talking about. So she was wrong.
So now you're an expert.
I'm more of an expert than her. I'm not an expert, but I know more than her.
Do you know what was written on them at all? Give me like one book that was found in them.
Not as many as what's in the Septuagint. So I don't
even
care.
one. Name one book that was in the Dead Sea Scrolls.
I don't care about the Dead Sea Scrolls at all. Most people don't even think they're real. Most people don't even think they're real, dude.
That's not true either.
They're real in the mainstream, like the mainstream.
No,
people don't
Christian. Like I don't even think Lion.
I mean, most people.
Lion, I don't even think it's real, bro.
No, don't even say that, bro.
Okay,
don't try to misrepresent Lion's position. I know for a fact he thinks he gives credence.
The Copper Scroll, it says is a unique dead scroll written on metal was discovered in a cave, getting Cave 3 at Qumran. What are you talking about, dude?
Let me read.
What does it say? You post a link to where it says it was found in the treasure.
It's okay. Let me just read.
It was found in treasure.
Can anybody hear me? I don't want to yell, but I did want to. Yeah, I was just.
They're just talking over.
Yeah, I was trying to say about some of the Dead Sea Scrolls made of. They had the copper bronze scroll. That's why they're called Dead Sea Scrolls. Copper scrolls, some of them, and then also some were animal skin too, as well, found with them. So that wouldn't technically be paper. It's not like papyrus. They might. The Dead Sea Scrolls, like I said, are 850 to 900 scrolls, because some of them could be like broken apart. So I don't know if you'd consider that one or two. That's why there's like a discrepancy in the total. But yeah, so yeah, animal skin. Some of the scrolls are written on. I didn't want to throw that out there. So
okay, you said copper, so you were wrong. You were wrong before to say it was copper, right? So I was right.
What are you talking about?
You were wrong.
Some copper found with it.
So,
Yeah, but there's no
can
biblical
you
on that.
acknowledge that the copper scrolls, that is something pretty unique we don't usually find
Oh, it's very,
ancient
very
copper
unique,
scrolls
very,
just like
very unique
some of them
looks
were.
treasure map in copper. I'm very, very impressed.
What
So do you
treasure
know
map?
any
Can
of the
you post a
books that
link?
were written in them?
I don't care about the Dead Sea Scrolls, dude, at all.
Okay, it's okay. I just want to say they are older than the Septuagint.
Okay, yeah, you
It was
can.
very
That's
interesting to
what
find.
they
So
were
we
made
found the
for. They were
Book of
made to
Enoch in
claim
them
that.
as
Yeah,
well. And the Book of Enoch goes over like the angels that fell and the different angels that fell. So it was very unique. And so now people are taking a lot more like notice to the Book of Enoch and these stories and like why the flood had to happen.
So you believe in their dating methods. So I guess you believe the Earth is 90 trillion million
No,
years old.
I don't believe that. I
Oh,
don't
okay. So
believe
just
that.
when they present an
Hold on.
artifact that fucking proves the Hebrew fucking.
So let me just
your
say,
Hebrew
whenever they're
worldviews.
writing these scrolls,
It says
they
yeah.
also are writing like historical events that were happening at the time. I don't believe in the dating methods. I have a big problem with like carbon dating and stuff like that.
Oh, but you know
But
that, but
so
the
they
Dead
have like
Sea
the
Scrolls are
king's
how
Q-Up,
old
list.
is it?
please stop interrupting, dude. We want to hear what you guys are both saying, but if you talk over her, we can't hear either. So could you just wait
I'm
and then you'll have your turn?
I know, but I don't want to hear her.
Well, okay, well then just exit the conversation because we do want to hear what everyone's saying. So go ahead, Taylor.
So some of the reasons we know the date of them was because they have kings at the time. So they'll write about the Egyptian king at the time. And so we can have an idea of what time period this was because, you know, they're writing like the events and the stuff that they had at this time. So by the events that were happening, like we could see, you know, like when the Roman Empire existed, for example, we might not know exactly when that was, but we can kind of like piece back together based on the kings and stuff at the time and the lineages. And the mainstream church was not really happy when they found this because this verified the Book of Enoch, which I think many of them have tried to cover up, like the fallen angels that came and taught us metallurgy and all this stuff. It's not like mainstream in the church, so yeah. Is there something in particular you have like against the Bible or Christianity that like makes you kind of hostile about it?
I think he left.
He's
I mean,
God. Oh, he's not here. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk about.
Well, I didn't want him to leave, but
no, I didn't want him either. I said exit the convo. I wasn't really telling him he had to exit it. I was just saying if he can't not interrupt, then maybe stay on mute kind of thing because he was just interrupting. He does that a lot, so I don't know. Yeah, he interrupts and ad homs and not all the time though. But I guess I don't know. He seems to sometimes not do it as much, but.
Man, I'd love to talk to him. I love hearing opposition and, you know, stuff like that because then I learn more, they learn more, you know? It's fun. I wasn't trying to be mean.
No, you're good. I mean, that's QOP, like QOP. That he has like
Oh,
two
really?
accounts. Yeah, so
I
it
didn't
was
even
the
know
same
who I
guy.
was talking to.
Yeah, that was QOP.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just trying to mod. I said then exit the conversation, but he kind of leaves anyways, like often like that. So I don't know. Sometimes if he's interrupting and ad homing and we ask him not to do it, he'll just leave instead of stop doing it. So I don't know. But he does like to debate that topic.
Okay. I love to debate him. Okay.
I think he was saying he maybe wants to do like an event, like on the stage where like basically one Christian at a time would come up and debate him. He was saying he might want to do that. That's one topic he specifically likes debating.
We could set it up like surrounded, like people could vote the guy off the stage if they don't like the way the debate's going, and then the next person can try and come up. Have you ever seen that debate show before, Gio? Surrounded?
I don't know if I have seen it. It made me reminded me of that, like, the Hook when they pull people off the stage or they hook them off. But I don't think I've seen that show.
Yeah, that's kind of what it's like. They basically put one guy in the middle and 20 oppositions around him, and they have to run to the chair. And whoever gets the chair gets to debate. And then if the people don't like the way the debate's going, they get a majority rule to rule them out. And each topic like lasts 15 minutes or something. It's kind of cool.
Well, I didn't know about the animal skin on the Dead Sea Scrolls, so see, I learned something new. That's why debates are good. Think that we should do more?
Yeah, it gives you an opportunity to kind of sharpen your sword, as it were, for both people. If there's some humility, sometimes people get so rigid that they're not willing to take in the information, or they're just defending their point so strongly. But even when that's the case, though, other people can still glean from it either way. But yeah, like if they're in the debate and willing to have some humility as well, can actually learn a lot. But like I said, sometimes people tend to be very outward oriented in the debate style, where they're just like. But there's a lot of potential, because when it's heated like that, where you can hear something new, or even maybe realize that you were wrong about something, or that you needed to refine something. So yeah, there's a lot of potential for that. Elbow, you been over to that English Hub server? I heard the 24/7 guys are going over there, so they're going after people trying to learn English now.
Nah, it was they invited them, the owner of the server invited them to go there, which actually it's actually more chill than going to the politics server, since they're learning their English. They're not as combative.
Yeah.
And usually in politics server, there is a bunch of anti-flat earthers that go. So it's sometimes hard to listen to.
Wait, what server?
English Hub.
Who's running it?
So are they flat smacking people who are there to learn English? That's good fun.
Yeah, I mean, it gives them practice too. So instead of just saying hi, hello, what's the weather?
Yeah, I think I saw the server. It's got I saw the link for it, to where it has it's like 500,000 people, right? It's like 500,000. But it's like a server
they have a huge amount.
But in the VCs, there's not how many people are in VCs though? There's just a lot on the server, but there's not tons in VC the way because it seems like politics maybe has more.
Yeah, in politics, many I turned off a bunch of the servers so I don't really pay attention to how many people in the server. I usually go to only channels that I like listening to. So, but yeah, I mean there's a bunch of people try to learn English. So, especially you have a lot of Indians, and then I'm guessing they're trying to learn English for scamming people. I'm just kidding.
Is anybody in here on that server?
Yeah, I am.
Wait, who is that?
Elbow.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there's not that many servers like actively doing debates like in Flat Earth that I've seen.
Yeah, did the numbers drop suddenly? It seemed like they were all like fairly busy, and then over the last few months, it seems like it's gotten a lot quieter everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, Omnis was like so biased.
Sure.
It's better to have more of a neutral platform.
They're all biased, right? I haven't seen a
I know,
neutral
but
one
like,
yet.
there's some servers that don't like dogpile people. Those are the ones that are
Where?
better.
I mean, are the numbers really that much different? I mean, I don't know what Gem Panda. I imagine his are pretty similar. I mean, in terms of
Let me take a look now. Oh, it's actually busy now. Yeah, I more meant like, I guess there's people in 24/7 now. It just seems sort of noticeably fewer numbers, but it could just be an attention thing that I'm on at weird times for Americans.
Yeah, the 24/7 is more like I call them the gypsy because they like go from server to server to server. They're always just if they're not in politics, they're in the English, and they're not in English, they're in politics and religion. So I usually call them just the gypsy server.
Does anyone over there talk about like the dual pole or any of these other things, or are they just all AE map? Or
They
don't really-
Not they don't.
anything.
They're not even. Yeah, no AE map, no dual pole.
They'll pretty much, if a flat earther starts proposing a flat earth answer to something, they have to be quite OG popular to get away with that shit. You generally, if a flat earther starts proposing any kind of answer to any question, like how does the flat earth X, they'll get shut down pretty quickly. Because they're very big on like, we don't prove our side, you prove your side. We don't even.
Then why would
we don't
that
even
be a
speculate.
debate channel?
Because they want to debate, but they only want to debate globers about the globe. They will not debate about flat Earth. Outwardly, they admit it. Wouldn't you agree?
Wait,
Eldo?
is
Like,
it a flat Earth server or a globe server?
Yeah, that's not a problem though, right? Like to just want to say the globe is wrong.
Well, it depends what you mean by a problem. Like, I view it as weak. I think that if you're saying X is false, Y is true, there's two halves to that, and the second half is the more important one.
Science is about falsification. You can't prove anything, so no one's ever going to know. So what we could do is falsify things. That's from your own worldview.
It's
so
not from
that's
my
your
own
justification.
worldview.
Yeah.
You decided
You
that
think
was
you
my
can
worldview.
you think you can prove things, Ryan?
I
Come
didn't
on.
say that either. This is all just made up in your
hold
head.
on, what? So
I didn't. Did I say that they can prove things? I said people think the world is X is not true, Y is true, and they're missing half the debate. Where am I saying you can prove things?
No,
You made
nobody
all of
has
that
to
up.
say why is true.
You've been kind of
Yeah.
moody lately. What's going on?
Yeah, and
That's
we definitely
important. Like, if-
they definitely speak about how they know the Earth is flat. So it's not that they don't talk about that; they just don't attach a model to it because I mean we haven't seen
They
the
all
whole
fail.
thing. So how are you going to actually attach a model to something you don't actually know?
Yeah, all
Yeah, bunch of
measurements are done locally in reality, right? So anything outside of local and in reality wouldn't be a measurement. So therefore, if the opposite of local is like worldwide or global, that would be a measurement not in reality.
Sure, yeah. What is that
Well, they
addressing
claim to
though?
do those.
Who?
I know they do, don't they?
Yeah, in the globe paradigm, they claim to with satellites and GPSs and all kinds of stuff.
I think you can measure stuff from afar, sure. Like
Geodetic.
Depends if you don't like the word measure, then I think you can come
Calculate.
to a relative degree of confidence on something from afar. Like I could
but
measure
you
a
add an
church
assumption
using
to
trig.
measure. You add an assumption using your calculations.
Everything's got assumptions in it. It's an assumption that you can measure things. It's an assumption that inches remain the same length everywhere. There's assumptions all the way down. You can't avoid assumptions. Thinking you need to avoid assumptions is in and of itself an assumption.
Do you think that inches, it is possible they might not measure the same length in some places? Because I was wondering if that could be one of the solutions to the 6210 radius. So we could just have length contraction. Because the globe has that, right?
Well, length, yeah. I mean, the globe has staggeringly small amounts of it at relativistic speeds. But outside of that, no. An inch is always an inch. So would it solve your problem? It could, but I don't understand how you could have this 6210 problem without length contraction, but when you go to measure it, you do have length contraction, it seems like. Unless I'm misunderstanding. Explain how that would work, I guess.
Yeah, are you saying like an inch is not an inch everywhere or something? Like an inch is a different distance, length in a different area of the Earth or something? I was trying to understand what you meant.
Yeah, is that what you're saying, Eggshell?
I think an inch is always an inch.
I was asking if that's what you meant.
You just asked me? Yeah, you brought it up, man. Defend your own.
No, I thought when you said it's a presupposition, right, that we hold. That an inch is an inch everywhere, which to me suggests it's a possibility that presupposition hasn't been justified. And so, are you claiming there is the possibility of like length contraction in our reality that someone could like pick up on and measure, or is an inch everywhere?
I've got a nifty method for saying things. I just say them. If you think that that's a possibility, go for it. I'm just pointing out that assuming that isn't the case is necessary in order for measurements to mean something. Whether it's a safe assumption or not is a secondary question, right? But that it's an assumption, no way to get around that. Yes.
Can you give me the reason that anyone would come to the conclusion that is an assumption? So there would have to be a justification or an instance of an inch not being an inch somewhere to come to the conclusion that is an assumption that we have, right? Because at this point, it would almost be like an axiom of geometry. It wouldn't be like an assumption. It would be a self-evident truth in the framework, not saying it's an axiom of what.
Yeah, we hold like things that are self-evident truths. We assume them to be true. It's fine if it's a very safe assumption. Here's a more questionable assumption. How do you know whatever tool you're using to measure? How do you know that yardstick is a yard, right? So not whether the yard changes length, but how do you know what that actual stick length is? Because all you're going to do is measure it against another stick, right? And it sticks all the way down. You don't have a base yard you can find. So how do you know the yards? The yardstick measures a yard.
That's such a good point, because it's like, how do you know because you have 1 degree of star change that equals 69 miles and that should be linear? Yeah, exactly. That's a huge thing. And then you derived all your miles off of that.
You ran from the point. Right? We can check.
No, I agree with your point. I'm saying, it's crazy. If we make those assumptions, we can end up in weird paradigms. I agree.
Taylor, you're hot micing a little bit, just to let you know.
Or trying to join the conversation, if that's it. We can yield.
I think it was...
It sounded like hot micing. Yeah, you've got to make assumptions. You make assumptions to live life, right? It's a part of presuppositionalism. I don't think you should be surprised now by this idea that we have we presuppose things.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think those presuppositions should be recognized and justified. Yeah.
Sure. And they are still assumptions, even if they're justified. Hopefully, most of your assumptions are justified. There's nothing in and of an assumption in and of itself is saying that it is assumed for bad reasons, right? Most assumptions we make, hopefully, are assumed for good ones.
Well, philosophically,
you're adding the concept of it necessarily being a good thing.
God.
Well, with eggshells, if you think about it, the reason that is the case is because philosophically we define knowledge as a justified true belief. So if we say we have beliefs or presuppositions, right, and these presuppositions we're taking for granted, right, well, let's turn those beliefs into knowledge. You know how we do that? We see if the belief could be true by justifying it. So there you go. That's how we get to knowledge in this world.
Great. That was a great comeback.
So you're coming in and out there. What are you going by now? Vapegate?
Said that's great. That sounded great. What Tora just said.
Sure. Did it make sense though, or was it just?
Did to me. Cool. I mean, if there's a reason for everything, there has to be a reason for existence and knowledge. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're happy with circular logic, it's pretty good. If you don't,
it's actually not circular logic. It's straightforward equals.
I don't know.
Existence depending on God. It goes from God, then to reality. It's a straight line, one to the other.
Oh, so what's the question then? Is it answering any kind of a question, or if it's just saying if reality then God? Surely it's saying if reality
basically
then God.
If existence and if knowledge.
Yeah. So it's circular. So we're trying to prove the existence of God by presuming that God exists.
Well, what makes knowledge possible in your worldview? What makes knowledge possible in your worldview? Go ahead, tell us how you think knowledge doesn't exist.
Not sure it does. I think that you hit on the main point, which is there is justification, and that is inherently subjective. And I don't think that it makes sense to suggest that knowledge is subjective. But if the way to reach it necessarily relies upon something subjective, then you know, it to me, it's a bit of a breakdown in most other people's thinking. Is that
how can it not be subjective?
Absolute about something? Exactly. Yeah. That's my.
You need to be. Wait. Hold up. You need to be a subject with a mind to possess knowledge.
Exactly. Yeah, that's another way.
Hold on. No, I just need to point this out.
And you must have some arbiter of what justification is, right? If knowledge is justified true belief, then true, fine, that's reality, that exists. Belief, still a little bit murky in that how perfectly could your model had your map match the territory. But justification is subjective, and you're right, it requires a subject to hold the knowledge in its head. So I don't know how
I'm not really speaking on it. I'm not really speaking on any of that other stuff that you kind of like loosely associated with it. I'm just saying that knowledge requires a mind, and that you must be a subject with a mind to possess knowledge. Like that is literally strictly all I'm saying. That's kind of like a base axiom.
Well, let me say something funny.
It's kind of a base axiom.
I want to say something funny. So you're saying that knowledge requires a container?
Yeah.
Solid.
No, eggshells. That is interesting. So like this, I would say you're a bigger conspiracy theorist than any flat earther by far, because you disagree with the definition of knowledge. You don't think it exists. That's like the biggest conspiracy ever. Like all of this stuff that we're learning is just like nonsense and just subjective justifications. So there's no point to ever enter into this.
But why would that be that might be true, but why would that be a conspiracy? Who's lying? I think other people
I know. It's like
I mean, anyone claiming to have knowledge would be lying in that world.
Well, I don't think they would, because lying would imply not just that they are wrong, certainly not that they're wrong as per my worldview. They need to be right in their worldview, but that they need to be knowingly saying something with the intent to deceive.
Yeah, you believe that.
How's that a conspiracy?
Yeah, because you believe that, because the main people that believe that knowledge is possible believe in a God, the ultimate source for intelligibility, And you believe that people are telling other people there is a God for some nefarious reasons.
But I don't think that you're lying about it. I think that you honestly believe there's
That's
a God.
conspiracy,
I think you're wrong. But who are you
That's
conspiring?
A conspiracy, yeah.
Who's conspiring? It's just such a weird.
You're saying, yeah, exactly. You're saying all these people, right, think that they can know things because of some God, but they've been fooled into that by some group, right? That fooled them into that for nefarious reasons. So that's what that's the biggest conspiracy ever. That knowledge doesn't exist.
I don't think a group fooled anybody into it. You made that up. You're the conspiracy theorist. Your theory partly involves this, whatever nonsense it is about a group conspiring to trick people into thinking knowledge exists. But you also have a very weird view about what's going on in other people's heads, because that's so far from anything I said.
Okay,
I didn't suggest there's a group tricking people into thinking knowledge exists. I just think that if it must be defined philosophically as justified true belief, it necessitates the question, justified according to who? And if that question cannot be answered sufficiently with a single...
according to reality, dude. What do you mean according to who? Like the water level is a tool. Yeah, the water level is a tool in reality that objectively sets up a horizontal plane locally. Okay, that's a justified true belief. That's something we have knowledge about. What are you talking about?
It? I'm asking about justification, not water level.
Yeah, what do you mean? Who justified it? It's a tool in reality. Water justified it. Gravity justified it. All the laws of physics justified it.
So they decided, because justification to me means like somebody says, I was an astronaut, right? And I'm instantly going to treat that with suspicion because there's very few astronauts. There's going to be more and more evidence they can present until it gets to the point where I decide to switch my view from they are not an astronaut, they are a liar, to maybe they are an astronaut, to I'm quite confident they're an astronaut. And all of that will require that it reaches subjective thresholds to me, right? It gets to a certain point and they've got photos of them on the ISS and I can Google their name and that I will go, now this is justified. But that won't be justified to you, right? You will go, oh, you just read the website. So you
do you not know what the terms that I said mean? Do you not know the definitions of horizontal plane? Do you not know the definition of what level, like what water is? I gave you all the things, right, that justify the case that the water level is a tool in reality that creates a horizontal plane locally. Are you saying you don't think that is the case? Like that hasn't been proven?
I'm not. I can talk to you about the water level if you want.
He speaks like a Bevite.
He's a pre-sup. He's a Darth Dawkins fan. That's where this nonsense comes from.
I'm not a Darth Dawkins fan. Please do not relate me to that guy.
Well, it sounds like it.
Yeah, so, even before Darth Dawkins, there's been like philosophy.
Exactly.
Like that.
And the idea
it's not like he created
like Greg
that
Bonson,
Darth Dawkins guy. Yeah, and even before that, there's other like predating philosophers and stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, no, even Thomas Aquinas basically said that the universe's existence and knowledge's existence depends on God. That's like 900 years ago or something. So that's not Darth Dawkins. That's actual it's not quite ancient, but like that's pretty old, dude. That's older than our country. Well, I don't know about. Yeah, I think that's older than the UK.
He can't sound like Darth Dawkins because somebody else said a similar thing better years ago. He sounds like Darth Dawkins.
You're trying to slander the whole argument as if you're trying to slander the whole argument as if it's not credible and that it's just something created by some guy on the internet.
It's not an argument. It's not an argument. He's making his position look worse by throwing ad hominem, so it doesn't matter.
Sure, I'm just
it really is. Yeah, it isn't an argument.
Who it sounds like to me. So let's get back to justification. I think the way to defend an argument is to stick to it. So the point I'm making is about that justification resides in a head. Would it make sense to say a water level justifies something?
Wait, is reality in your head only, Eggshells, or is it external?
That's not what I said. Could you answer the question?
The water level is a tool that interacts with reality. It's not my head.
Right. Does it justify is the question. The question we're resting on is justification. You are avoiding that word.
It justifies a horizontal plane. It sets up a horizontal plane locally in
Justifies.
reality. Yeah, 100%. By all the
Wow.
definitions of what horizontal is all straight lines exist in a horizontal plane. So therefore, when we set up the horizontal plane, we could set up a straight line, which is the shortest distance between the 2 points. And we could find that that lies within that plane. So by all the definitions, so if you would like to now at this point throw out everything in reality, like geometry, you can, sir. And I think you might have to.
Right. I mean, you've got to avoid this simple thing that we're just trying to talk about whether justification resides in a mind. Is it mind dependent? Is justification water level's fine? We can talk about that if you want. But the fact that you're avoiding this question of whether justification is mind dependent shows that you can't have this discussion.
Not for the water level. It's not. It's
Okay.
not, dude. It's reality dependent. How do you not see that?
Right. The water level's reality dependent, but it doesn't justify anything. It just does something. It just gives you an indication of how level something is.
And we call that knowledge. We call that knowledge, and knowledge is defined as a justified true belief.
Who's we calls that knowledge? I don't think looking at a water level gives you knowledge. I wouldn't call that.
We don't call it knowledge that when we made a water level, we discovered that you can set up a horizontal plane locally in reality. You don't call that knowledge? What do you call that?
Like, if you want to make a point, please do.
When you get the definition of knowledge, because knowledge definition is the fact or condition of knowing something with familiarity gained through experience.
Sure. So
I've given the philosophical
philosophy,
definition.
In philosophy, it's really specifically designed as justified true belief. And the point I'm making is belief is mind dependent, which is what Vapegate Noah said. Truth is reality dependent. So truth is fine, but that's the only thing that Torah can currently talk about, that the water level in reality.
Yeah, I'm talking about experience.
Please let me finish. Is in reality showing that something is level. And what I'm saying is, in order for it to become knowledge, I must consider that sufficient justification, and that justification is mind dependent. He keeps going to the truth side, which is what does the water level show?
What I'm demonstrating here is the justification is the experience. So that, therefore, reality can make the justification for you. It is not only subjective.
Do you think some people experience things in reality and they call that justified, but you, when looking at the conclusion they reached about it, go, that's not? For example, in the flat earth debate, the idea of some people thinking they're justified in seeing Pontchartrain Causeway curve.
Hold on, can you agree with me at least on the last point before we move on to a whole nother point? Yeah, on the last point though, do you agree that it is not subjective justification if you use reality?
No. I'm trying to impeach that point now. Could you answer the question I asked about? I don't think that's the case. No.
Does reality exist independent of the mind?
Yeah, I think it does. Can you answer my question?
Okay, so is it subjective then what happens in reality, or objective?
I think reality is objective. Can we get to my question?
Okay, thank you. So then
if you heard my question and went, oh shit, I don't want to answer that. I'll just ask him.
I've walked you down this tree here. I've walked you down this path because you said reality is objective. So therefore, if we justify something in reality, it's not subjective, it's objective, right?
How do we justify it?
We use a tool like the water level.
Which tool? Okay,
the water level.
Are there some tools that are better than others?
That's not the point. The point is, have we gained knowledge in an objective? Have we gained knowledge in an objective fashion by using the water level?
Yet.
I'm using a specific tool to set up a horizontal plane in reality.
The tool you're using is avoidance. You're avoiding the question. I keep asking you really direct questions, and you just fire back an unrelated point or a different question. You don't answer anything directly. That's the tool you're using to avoid reality.
Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
I think I'm justified in this view because I observed it happen in reality. So now when somebody walks out to Pontchartrain Causeway and they perceive with their experience of reality that it is curved, would you consider that they have justified their belief that the surface of the water is curved? Do you think that conclusion they've reached is justified?
No.
But they do. So suddenly now, in the difference of subject, It doesn't make it the case. That's right. No. It doesn't make it the case. What it makes it is subjective.
Yeah, we would go into the reality
in your mind,
and objectify the truth.
I'll be done after this. The justification they made in their mind didn't match up to the justification you did in your mind, despite the fact that the truth, the reality, the objective fact remained the same. Hence, we could not get that justification from reality because two different subjects observe the same thing and one calls it justified and the other one does not. Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
No, that is not the
optics. Aren't both of those optics? Aren't both of those using optics? Like Tora, your thing, it's using optics to decipher that the water level is making a horizontal plane.
We actually can use like a tool if you'd like to measure the straight line distance. We can make a physical line through these points to show that it is a straight line. When you hang a fence, you do this.
Does a straight fence end up looking like Pontchartrain?
No. Well, I never made one that long.
So
yeah, but how are you verifying the fence is straight though? That's the whole point. You'd have to make something
the water level.
Bingo.
Yeah,
not bingo to yours. Just, bingo to Gio's question.
Yes, isn't that circular? The fence is straight because the water level is straight. The water level is straight because the fence is straight. Like you'd have to actually.
It's a base axiom of geometry. Yeah, a horizontal line is straight. Yeah.
Yeah, but you'd have to actually show that it's horizontal and straight. Because when Bev says this argument, he's saying optically. I know you're just saying Bev's thing, but it's fine. We'll pretend it's not Bev's thing, I guess. Then how have you verified?
I'm just taking this. I'm not doing a Bev thing. What I'm doing is I'm just trying to show him there is objective truths in reality that don't come from the subjective person. And if you're saying the water level isn't you know what I mean, like it's actually subjective and everyone on Earth has the same subjective belief that it sets up a horizontal plane, then at that point it would become objective.
But that's not what I'm saying is subjective. You're still missing the point. The point is about the justification, not the perception. It's about some people would say seeing Pontchartrain Causeway curve as it appears to, which Rakia said, right? He went out to measure it, and the day he turned up, when he was telling the story, he said, "I'll be honest with you, it looked curved." Right? But that wasn't justification for him where that would be enough for some other people. Then somebody would get a spirit level, and once they'd done something with a spirit level, though the inherent logical problems with that are multifaceted, they would say it's now justified, where somebody else might go, no, I need a theodolite or I need a scan from. Everybody's going to put their justification somewhere else. So if there isn't a single arbiter who can let us know whether something's justified, then it's impossible to tell whether that thing was truly justified, because I think Pontchartrain's causeway is curved, A, because I presume the Earth to be curved, and B, because it looks that way. So I think that's justification, but you don't, which is fair. But then it becomes, how could I have knowledge that a causeway I've never seen is curved, and you have knowledge that it isn't? Which would rest on
I don't have any knowledge.
The thing about the water level is, if you're asking a glober, in a practical sense, they would say it's level and straight. But if you get down to the nitty gritty, they would also admit that the water's curving at the rate that Earth is, and that it's too short a distance to measure.
No, this doesn't have anything to do with. That wasn't my point. Is not anything to do with the Earth or anything. I don't know what's going on. My point is
why we keep pretending it's not.
Because it's about knowledge. The conversation was about how do we gain knowledge in the world, and this guy is saying it's all subjective truths. So I was just trying to use something.
You can't be this dense. It's not subjective truth, you dingus.
You just said because you think. Yeah, okay, subjective.
Justification!
Yeah, exactly. And then those would be considered the truths, so you consider it knowledge. You presume the Earth to be a globe, and then you see Lake Pontchartrain, say you did, right? And it looks curved. That's a justification for you. So therefore, now you go on the internet and tell other people, my truth is that the Earth is curved because I presume it to be curved, and I see it and it seems to be curved. And then you're telling me my argument is circular. That's ridiculous.
But you made all of my argument up, right? I didn't say those things. You got it noticeably wrong in core parts of my argument. You made up my argument and it was dumb. You are right. You made a really dumb argument, tried to pretend it was mine, and now you're being like, what, you think my argument's dumb? Your argument is a bastardization of mine. Of course it's dumb. It's not
You
what I'm
didn't
saying.
say
I'm not
that
saying
you
truth is
presume the
subjective.
earth is
I'm not
curved.
saying that
You
I'm
didn't-
not saying that I have my truth and you have yours. All this shit you added in came out of your head. You need to be
I
aware
didn't
which
say the
thoughts reside
words
in your
my
own
truth
mind
and
and
you
which are
have
in mine.
yours. I didn't say those words. So what are you talking
My
about?
truth
I'm
in
talking
that.
specifically about your
And he thinks
argument.
he's
You
got
just
my
said
truth. Okay, what's
you
my argument? Go
presume.
for it.
Do you presume the earth to be curved, and then you look out and it looks curved, and now you believe you have justified the reason for the earth to be curved?
Yes, yeah. So I said
Okay.
part of the
Well, you
justification
started
is I
with the
think I have other.
presupposition that the earth is curved.
Yes, yeah. It's like one of the justification. Like we're not testing if the Earth's curved at the moment. We're testing
That's
if Pontchartrain.
circular, dude.
No, it's not. Listen. The question is about whether Pontchartrain Causeway is curved, right? And I start with one presumption where I go, I'm pretty sure the Earth's curved, and the second is the observation of reality that it looks curved. And that leads me to the conclusion that it probably is curved. But it's not saying the Earth's curved because the Earth's curved, right? It could have a curve in this patch and not in others. And it could not present as curved, which would destroy my argument, right? So it's not circular in and of its.
Dude, you are a sophist, dude. You are a sophist.
you
Can you
can't.
just
You're the one
answer
that
if
makes
there
up
is
my
objective
argument.
truth? Is 1 + 1
Yeah.
= 2? Yes or no?
I've answered that. I've answered that before. Yes, I think objective
Okay,
reality.
then you're done. That's it. The argument's over.
Can we talk about the justification ever? Will you
No,
ever address that
I'm
point?
good. We don't have to talk about
Evidently
the
not.
justification for
Thank
1
you
+
for
1
admitting
= 2. That's
No,
ridiculous.
that's not obviously not what I was asking though. It's so transparent that
No,
you're
that's
avoiding this
it.
debate.
It's done. If you agree
Yeah,
to the
you're
objective
running
truth
from it.
that 1 + 1 = 2, everything you just said is a falsehood. Because at this point, you're saying there is
What did I
objective
say?
truth in reality, and if you're
Yeah.
going to try and say we have a justification for 1 + 1 = 2, I'm done. I'm not going to talk to dude. You're lost.
Hang on, if I'm going to try and say what? Again, you're making up my argument. Can I please at least know what it was? If I'm going to try to say that 1 + 1 = 2, yes, I am. I think 1 + 1 = 2. Is that what you said? How did you say that? Say that. So tell me my argument again, please, because when it comes out of your head, it sounds really garbled. What's my
I'm
argument
not
that's
going
so
to do this
lost
with
and
you,
wrong?
Eggshells. I'm
What
done.
the
dude.
hell is going
I'm
on in
going.
here?
I'm not
What
doing
the
it.
hell are you two talking about? What's going on
Knowledge
here?
and whether justified true belief is a thing that can be held, and I think justification is subjective. It's pretty simple.
You don't think knowledge is possible?
I think it's possible, but I would need to know who's the justifier. What constitutes justification? Because some people might
You
be
think
like, I
knowledge
know
is
it's
something that can be?
Thursday.
You think knowledge is something that needs to be justified? So you're saying if I knew something, I'd have to justify it to you to be
No.
knowledge for me?
Nope.
Because that's what
I think you'd say you'd have to
justification
justify it
enables, right?
I think to yourself, maybe like if you're looking at a lot of
Exactly.
evidence, you'd have to justify it within your
Yeah,
own
but justification is between two
Bingo.
people.
Yeah. Geo gets it.
Justification
Well, is it?
Justification is not something between you and yourself.
I think it is. I think that's what really, really knowledge means. Is that
Okay, then
exactly
justify
what Geo
1
said.
+ 1 = 2. And don't be circular, because you're not allowed to be circular, apparently.
I've got no need to justify it. The question is about whether justification exists, right? I can't give
Does
you an
1
objective
+ 1 = 2 a knowledge claim?
Well, yeah, because if you have two single units, they add up to what we call the number 2.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I just said. 1 + 1 = 2. Yeah. So the justification is literally circular. So base axiomatic principles are not going to be justified. They're experienced in reality.
Then they can't be known because they can't be justified. Womp womp.
That's absurd.
If they cannot be justified except through circular means, then you can't have knowledge about base axioms. You might be able to have knowledge about other things in reality, like water levels and stuff. But again, it would rest on this thing of justified to who? Justified in the eyes of God, justified in the eyes of that individual doing that test, justified in the eyes
exactly.
of
That's why the only
other
worldview.
individuals.
Yeah,
who
that's
disagree
why
with
the
their
only
conclusion.
worldview. Yeah, that's the only worldview that makes sense that you could obtain knowledge in is one with a God that holds these principles in his mind. Yeah.
Sure, that's the way you see it. It just sounds silly to me. and you haven't justified it very well, in my view. So while that might be true, and it certainly appears to be something you believe,
it
doesn't seem very well
justified. You can't know anything otherwise. Yeah. There would be no intelligibility.
But you're not very intelligible. Like, what I would think.
Okay. So I'm literally done now. You're good.
What I would think is if somebody had access to this truth that created intelligibility, they would be exceptionally intelligible. I would understand them so well. And they would understand me. They wouldn't misrepresent my worldview. So among those are my reasons for justifying the reasons I have.
Unless you're possessed by the opposite force. Unless you're possessed by the opposite force. Like if someone is full of clarity and truth, and you're full of confusion and untruth, you're not going to understand what the person full with clarity is even saying.
Bingo, yeah. But I don't have that problem. No, not many people describe me as difficult to understand. That's like one of the most common bits of positive feedback I get is that I'm very easy to understand. So I don't think that's true, but who's it truer of, the pre-sup or me?
Well, I don't know about all
the good heuristics.
I'm ready for someone to answer
as humble as thou art.
Go, Gio.
I'm ready for someone to answer the question of what makes knowledge possible. I'm ready for them to say evolution. Who's going to say that's the reason?
I've heard people try that. But I think it's a really poor argument because there's many things that you can see seem to favour delusions. You know, like we all see ourselves as a little bit smarter than we are.
Well, there's kind of what the mainstream would say, like, oh, we have knowledge because we've evolved in our brains, and you know, we're in this evolutionary state to where we can speak language and have a thing that we call knowledge. I'm just wondering if someone will use that at some point as a response.
I've heard it many times, Gio.
Yeah, I think evolution would be an acceptable answer, I think, for a fallibilist view, where you go, if we accept the fact of what I'm saying, which is truth is hard to behold, justification is necessarily wibbly, then I get the way fallibilists say it is I just get high enough in my confidence that it's approaching 100%, and it won't get there, but it's so close. I just call those things that are very close, I call knowledge. But in and of itself, yeah, because I think knowledge does require a creator, and one of the parts would be the justification.
Well, the idea also, if there's truth and non-truth, then who defined what's true and what's not true? There has to be some higher order that denoted this thing is true and this thing is not true. And then having knowledge to know what is the difference would mean that there is some actual process occurring there that's not just random. It's not arbitrary, but it's actually defined on some higher level.
Yeah, to me, it doesn't require, like, having ideas or having confidence about things being the case doesn't require a creator.
No, but I'm saying to know, not just to have ideas, but to know, like knowledge, like gnosis, like actually having, knowing something to be the case.
Mm. Yes, yeah, I think the precepts can have an argument for that, partly because of the justification thing, right? There is a single arbiter of what is a justifiable reason to come up to a conclusion, and they get to decide it. And
well, he said gnosis, right? So knowledge from experience, right?
Is that what gnosis means?
Well, like, do you think that's possible to gain knowledge from your experiences?
Like we'll just get
that's the most primal form of knowledge. It's the first knowledge you encounter as a being that's alive. So if you're going to deny that, you're denying the foundation of where all your other knowledge is based upon.
Yeah, so I certainly agree. It's like the base way we come to understand or conceive of the world in order to navigate it. But if I've just said I hold to a fallibilist worldview and knowledge, justification is the problem there, the way you're coming to the thing that you think to be true, the belief, doesn't change the issue of the justification. Right?
Thank you. No further questions.
So what? I guess you feel you made a point then, but it would be helpful if I understood what point you felt you made too. Or not.
Have you ever heard of the Anthem meme?
No, what's that?
Should check it out.
What do you think about my point that if this pre-sup thing is true about intelligibility, that should yield some benefit in terms of beyond the claim itself? Like it seems like it's got this
Yeah, I
core claim
agree.
of intelligibility
I agree.
rests on.
I agree. The author of clarity and the author of confusion, the author of truth and the author of lies. You should be clear and easy to understand if you claim to be someone who has truth.
Yeah. Particularly actually now that you say it, yeah, particularly if there is in this world a nefarious and very powerful being who is able to trick people into following the wrong God. Like, isn't that Satan's main purpose, is to continually draw people away from God and to follow other things that are not God? So in that world, I imagine one could really struggle to have justification for anything, because you would always come back to this question of, but was that Satan, right? Was that the
No,
was that
you
the
don't. You
Messiah?
don't. No,
Okay,
that's
why not?
not the worldview at all. Yeah, because
I'm
through
not.
Christ you can do all things. So yeah, when you have the logos, the proper logic, and you understand it's objective, right? This actually leads to the ability to create the society that you live in today. Because it's based upon this principle in science. In order to advance, we have to assume uniformity in nature. So we have a justification for all of these things. So yeah, it actually creates a beautiful thing. I don't know what you're talking about. Like
Yeah, I
you
was
don't,
going to say, are
you
you
would,
aware of what
yeah, I
I'm
wouldn't be
talking about? It's
deceived by Satan because I have Jesus. So that would be
hang
impossible.
on. Are you saying there are no people who could think they have Jesus but they don't? That seems to me like a bit of a problem, given. I mean, I'm not so au fait with the Bible,
Yeah,
but I
no,
don't
that
exactly.
that could occur, but you will know those people by their fruits.
But the question is whether that person would know themselves, because otherwise that person could be you. If you can't know in and of yourself whether you are that deceived person, then you must conclude it's possible you are that deceived person who thinks you're living in Christ, or whatever the correct term is for it. But you are following the author of deception, because he's an extraordinarily powerful being, and that's his entire point of his existence, is to trick people.
I was fooled, and I'm still working on it, but yeah, I was fooled.
Fooled by what?
Oh, that what it meant to be a real man. Nose to the grindstone, provide for your family, etc. I wasn't taught the truth of the rest of the story, about the support, about the love, about the reciprocation of appreciation, where we increase the value of one another by communicating this appreciation and love. It was very difficult for me to recognize. I was stubborn, hard-headed, and thought that I knew. And I was wrong. My nose to the grindstone, trying to make the money, that wasn't the answer. That was just a part in this world.
Yeah, I think the answer would have to be to always hold that you might be deceived by the devil, because like you're saying, you'll know them by their fruits, but that's an external person's justification. But if we're accepting that a person themselves could be deceived, like LearnShare is saying they were, and I think you would be a person, Tora, that's changed your views over your lifetime. All of us must have been. And the before and the after feels the same in terms of we feel like we're right even where we're wrong, and then we change our mind and we go back to feeling like we're right. So if I can't tell within myself that I'm wrong, then whether that lie is coming from Satan or bias or whatever.
Yeah, I could see that being an issue, like in a worldview that you don't understand what right and wrong are. But yeah, in the worldview that I have, there's a strict right and wrong. It's like a strict set of rules. So it's not as difficult as you're making it out to be. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I'm not really talking about the oughts. I'm talking about the is's, what is true, not what is morally right.
No, you're saying like, how am I being deceived? I would know that by the law.
What do you mean you would know that by the law? So somebody who's deceived would know that they are deceived by the law, and you know that you're not deceived by the law?
Yeah, because if you're being deceived, you would break the law.
But that's, again, you've gone to the moral thing. We're trying to work out what's true in reality, not
Well,
what
that's
the law
what the
is.
fruits are. That's what knowledge is in the Bible explicitly. It's how you treat one another. That's how you learn knowledge is from the law.
How do you work out what's true, eggshells?
Well, I remain doubtful that I have. I think that realizing one might be wrong is the best way to be as the least wrong as possible, because if you are certain about things, you will no longer be flexible and willing to change your mind on them, and then you're drawing a tight little bullseye in the middle of all of existence and saying this thing inside this bullseye is true. And
has everything been okay, eggshells? I've noticed you've been kind of like, I'm just wondering if you're feeling okay. Everything's going good.
Yeah, I'm going well.
You promise?
Yes.
Oh Lord, Jesus.
Okay.
We want to do some soul saving or something?
Yeah.
I love these conversations.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Because I think that certainty is really bad for you. I think that being certain you're right about truth is bad. Being certain you're right about morality, I think, is even worse.
So according to the Bible, studying and gaining more knowledge and more understanding and leaning yourself towards righteousness is a part of it. Whenever you stop working towards more or better purity, godliness, righteousness, those type of things, if you stop doing that, you are backsliding. You are going away. You are becoming the lazy, the sluggard, the bad person. And so therefore, if you are deceived and if you want righteousness and you strive for righteousness, you will learn that you are being deceived. But if you don't lean towards righteousness, if you don't keep learning, you will keep being deceived. So we've kind of gone round and round on the argument, so anyone can make comments, but that's what the Bible says about it. There are many who will be deceived. There are many who are deceived. The way you get out of that is by constantly studying and trying to do better.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that, and that's why I mentioned the law, because the law is like righteousness. Yeah, exactly.
I think that the studying, like either side, whichever side of the flat Earth debate you're on, you must conclude. I think you must necessarily conclude that studying more doesn't change minds. So somebody could be wrong, like whether you're a glober or whether you're a flat earther, you necessarily need to come to the conclusion that study itself won't correct a failing. It will in fact reinforce it, right? Whether that's on the behalf of the flat earthers or the globers.
I was referencing morality in the Bible. I was not talking about something of like opinions like the globe earth or the flat earth, which doesn't matter in salvation.
Okay. But it's about whether something is a salvation issue is a fact about reality. If I'm wrong about that, then that's important, and that's why it relates to what I'm saying, which is study itself. There are many people, let's put it this way, who've studied a lot, and they switch entire religions. They come to different core issues about what is a salvation issue or not, or what the Bible's really teaching. And, some end up becoming, following Eastern traditions and abandoning the Bible altogether. So I think that there is good evidence that study in and of itself mustn't be able to lead people to true conclusions, because there are learned people with many differing views.
It's not study alone. That's not what he says. He says practicing righteous behavior.
Is that like, if you can point out one of these and go, only I do this and the other people don't, then great, you win. But if I can just immediately go, yeah, the Hindus do that too, then the whole argument falls apart on the face
How
of it.
can you be confident to say people are wrong if you don't know it's true necessarily?
When did I say they're wrong?
I mean, like, how can you be confident to debate anybody?
Listening to someone's argument, you just make stuff up. Who said who was wrong? It's
I never said that you necessarily said that. I'm just saying, how could you be confident to say anybody's wrong if you don't know how to establish truth?
Exactly. Yeah. If other learned people come to vastly differing conclusions, then you should be doubtful of your own conclusions.
So, just out of curiosity, what other ways are there to learn besides study? You said if we only rely on study, what other ways would someone be able to learn besides study? Like, are you saying someone tells you? Because I would argue that that's just a different type of study. You're studying with other people. Are there none? Is that the only? Because if there is no other way, well, then I guess we answered our question. You need study is the only way.
Well, study and it's a fallible way. Right? There isn't a way, because if there was, right, then everybody would end up using that method and ending up with the same religion.
No.
But people reject certain things on philosophical principles. And so they're like biased on what's true and what's not already.
Right, but everybody's biased, right?
Eventually, those people make a choice to actually continue to study or to give up and allow to live because they're comfortable. That's what I'm saying, is that the study comes down to choice. I will learn more. I will do better. I will question whether or not I'm right or wrong. That's part of study. That's part of growth and knowledge and righteousness. Once someone gives up and says, you know what, I don't care anymore. I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to be bullheaded. I'm going to be self-absorbed. I'm going to pursue money, not righteousness. Once you allow those roadblocks to get in your way, well, then, yeah, your growth ends. Your search for righteousness ended. It doesn't mean that you come to the conclusion of your study means you gave up. What else besides study? And again, I'm talking morality wise. You were using the idea of flat and globe earth, which I guess you could apply to anything. What other ways are you to gain knowledge besides study?
Knowledge or
wisdom, morality, righteousness. I mean, yeah, go ahead. Whatever one you want to pick on or pick.
Oh, I think.
How do you gain?
I think it would be through actions, like, because I come back to more the what is rather than what ought be, the truth rather than morality. But
so
experience in some way that is involves requiring knowledge, but has a competitive element to it, is also really useful. So, okay.
But is not experience, when you learn, just applying the study of self-experience? Like, I could argue that's just study. It's just study through trial and error. It's arguably a least effective way of study, because you have to have error to really truly learn. Because sometimes if you get it right, it doesn't always mean that you got it rightly. You just happen to get lucky. So I would say it's still study. It's just study through action. So, I mean, but if you want to say that that's something different, that experience is different than study, then that's fine. We can have that conversation. But I would argue it is a type of study. It's through experience.
Yeah, I guess we'd need to define study, because to me, I get what you're saying, but if that study then I feel like we'll end up at the point where learning about anything is study, and the question itself is how do we learn. So it will end up being Texas
and that's kind of how I took it, because when I said what I said, the Bible says to study, I meant the Bible says keep learning. So that's what I meant. I didn't mean specifically you have to learn Greek or something like that. I was saying through experience, through trial and error, through life, through searching for righteousness, whatever way you want to study, whatever way you want to learn, you have to keep doing that. Now, not all forms of study are correct. There are forms that are incorrect. Or I guess not, the study part is wrong. There are actions that are incorrect. So I can't say, oh, I want to learn by experience, so therefore I'm going to do all the sins. That way I know all the sins better. Like, no, that'd be wrong. Okay. But some people do that. Like look at Solomon. He held nothing back. He engaged in all the sins to gain, and he gained wisdom. But he also wrote about it, and therefore I don't have to do it because he did it already. So if I learn and read and gain that, I don't have to experience it myself to be as wise as someone who did experience it themselves. So that was my point. It's just that you can still be deceived, and when you are deceived, you at some point have a choice: continue to learn and get better, or give up and be lazy and allow the sin to overtake. So be deceived doesn't happen. It's not something that's true or false now, in the sense it's a lifetime, or it's a growth thing. I will learn to get things right. I will learn to get things wrong. I pray that God gives me the time to fix all the wrong things. And I pray that I get them right and go to heaven. But I wouldn't necessarily say someone's deceived, therefore they're always going to be deceived, therefore there's no hope. Yeah, that was kind of my point. But yeah, it's in.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's no hope. I'm saying there is benefit in doubt. There's benefit in being in holding your conclusions lightly and being open to them being wrong. Because we're fallible. Right. The only thing that I think could have knowledge in my worldview, the only thing that could really have knowledge would be God itself, and none of its beings could hold knowledge, because none of its beings would have anything close to the justification that God would have for.
And that's
and I think most of our questions would be busted. Like, most of the meaningful questions would be really, if you did have that God level knowledge, you would go, what a ridiculous conclusion. But, given, it'd be like listening to a doctor from the Dark Ages try and describe what's wrong with somebody, and we're like, it's tuberculosis. But they don't understand. They're still using this idea of the humors. The questions they have and the knowledge they think they've got is so off base that it's not just they're wrong about the conclusion. It's like the question was even unintelligible. What humor causes this is probably half of their questions, and humors didn't exist. So,
and that's why it's important to understand that the Bible is infallible. That is the word of God, and that is how we find that righteousness beyond human knowledge and wisdom. We have God's knowledge and wisdom in the Bible.
Yeah, but I mean, how does one conclude that the Bible is infallible? That's simple. If it's infallible, that would be great. But
yeah, it can't.
Everybody claims their religious text is infallible, right? The Jews do, the Muslims do, the Christians do. I'm not sure if the Hindus do.
Well, the Bible is the only one that actually doesn't contradict itself and is complete. The Jews won't admit that theirs isn't complete. The Messiah hasn't come yet. So, I mean, we know that. And of course, Islamic texts, they try to claim that they're the birthright of the son that was specifically denied, Ishmael. So, I mean, yeah, no, we definitely can't count on that. And they believe in a prophet.
Do you think the Jewish faith, the Jewish Bible, the Torah, has contradictions in it, and the Bible does not?
I would argue yes, because you can't point out any contradictions. So,
I mean, I think they abound, but
okay. Then, I mean, you can give me one, but
Oh, sure. The two major ones are the order of creation and who saw Jesus' resurrection. They're the first two that come to mind.
The order of creation. What's flawed about that? I don't know if that was a sentence or something. You kind of slurred it
Yeah, the
together.
order in which things were created. So
Yeah.
am I going to get this right? In Genesis 1, I think it is, God created, and it kind of sounds like actually not God, but gods, a council of divine beings, created
Godhead.
Adam and Eve, or a godlet, a kind of demiurge or something, created Adam and Eve out of mud at the same time, and that the earth was created long before that, and then the animals, and then Adam and Eve at the same time out of mud. And the other one has a different order, right? So it goes the earth, Adam, the animals, Eve, and Eve is created out of his rib. And that presents to me a mutually, it's not possible she was made both out of a rib and out of mud. It's not possible that she was created after the animals and before them. Sorry, no, she's always after them. That Adam was both after and before them.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
So
that
I would
contradictions.
So you're bringing up a perceived contradiction. So just simply
that's all contradictions ever are.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that, like, if I could just present it in a way that isn't contradicting, so in other words, if I could just explain it, then therefore you would have to believe that it's the way that is not the contradiction, not the way that is the contradiction. Do you get what I'm saying?
Is that what that would require is then your claim is these other texts are flawed.
No.
Right? And then
No. I'm saying we'll go to those texts, we'll read it, and I'll say, does it work if you read it like this? And you would simply say, well, yes, because of this, or no, because of this. And so we'll get a little deeper if it's a no. Otherwise, you'll agree because I've presented it in a non-contradictory way, right?
You've interrupted to not understand the question I'm asking. Is your test for Judaism and Islam and Buddhism and Hinduism that their texts contain contradictions and the Bible does not, and that's why we know the Bible is infallible and the other texts are not? Is that the case?
If you want to start with that, here's how I would answer it. The parts that are in the Bible are not contradictory. In other words, if you start with Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, those things are not contradictory. What contradicts is when the Bible, I could list off the books of the Bible, but basically,
I feel like you're avoiding my question.
When the children of Israel, when the Jews veer off Christianity, then yes, that would be contradictory. That would be wrong because they do not fulfill the prophetic. They do not follow the fulfillment of the prophets of the coming of Jesus Christ, and they try to deny it. And then when it comes to Islamic ones, I can point right to where they contradict the Bible, and that's they believe that Ishmael received the promise and was the heir of the promise, and he's not. He absolutely isn't, and it says that in their own Bible. So, I mean, yeah, but amongst many others, contradiction is in the Islamic belief. But I mean, that's
so. Where are you getting? So, from your text, when I say I've found this contradiction in your text, I need supplementary material that comes from your lips. But when you test Islam, you go just on the text. So when I try to apply the same test you're doing for Islam...
we haven't gotten to mine yet. So we haven't gotten to Genesis yet. We haven't gotten to what I believe, because I believe we can go to the text you listed and show that there isn't a contradiction. That's what I was trying to say before. So you read the text in one way, and I'm saying you incorrectly read it, and that there is no contradiction right from that text. So we don't have to go anywhere else. We can go right to the text that you claimed there was a contradiction in. And I can just simply explain why there isn't a contradiction, why you read it wrong.
Sure. So in the beginning, when God created the universe, the earth was formless and desolate. The raging ocean...
The heavens and the earth, the earth was out form and void. Correct.
Okay. Which one do you like? Which version would you like?
You can read King James, New King James, ESV, NIV. Those pretty much.
King James is fine. Any of those. In the beginning, God created heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Just as a brief side note, I find it hilarious that an infallible text has multiple disagree. Translations. Anyway, and God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, and it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness He called night. And in the evening and the morning were the first day. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let the waters divide the waters." And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament to the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, I should skip. I thought Adam came in quicker.
Well, the first day,
And
the first
evening
day,
of the third
does
day.
have one thing that's important in it, which I want to just clarify, and that
Sure.
and that it's a very clearly a 24-hour period. No doubt in anyone's mind, it has to be 24 hours. So once we confirm that on day one, that it's talking about 7 24-hour day periods, then I'm happy to move on. So that'd be the first thing you have to understand for day one.
Okay. How did you get the 24-hour period in there?
I believe
What in
verse
the text
4
says that?
Yep,
verse 4. Okay. And God saw the light, and it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness.
Yep. Oh, keep going. 5.
And God called the light day, and the darkness night, and the evening and the morning were the first day.
Yep. There we go. 24 hours. Do you want me to explain it, or do you agree?
I get why you're like, if we have the presumption that the cycles were the same back then, fine. Is this going to relate to the order thing that I was bringing up, or why are we pausing on this?
I mean, if you want to say 23 hours and 56 minutes, I'm not going to. You're correct. I wouldn't say specifically 24 hours. I would say morning and evening in the Hebrew does not mean anything else except a 12-hour period is what we would call it today. And so therefore, it is not 1,000 years. I just want to clarify that it's not 1,000 years. It's not like 100 years. It's a day.
Fine. Like, yeah.
Okay. That's all I'm trying to get at.
I'm not. We can go into it further if you explain to me the relevance. I'm not understanding the relevance for the order of creation with this day period.
Well, I just want to get the true things true first, so that when we go to the other days, we're not trying to say, "Oh, well, it means 1,000 years." Well, no, it means 20. It means a day.
Okay.
So that's all. So once we got that clarified, I believe then you can skip down to like the 5th day.
God said, okay. So, and God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creature." Okay, so here's the first one. And the evening and the morning were the 5th day. The God said, "Let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beast of the earth after his kind." And it was so. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let us make a man in our image," which is super interesting. Let us make a man in our image is very interesting.
Anyway,
it's not the contradiction I'm talking about.
No contradiction there.
Well, the Holy Spirit doesn't have a body, does it? Or has the Holy Spirit got like a belly button and fingernails and everything?
I mean, arguably, the Father doesn't have a belly button either. They're all spiritual. So
that could just be two, though. It just said us, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, could be two godlike things. Could be a council.
The Son.
Could be a council of beings.
I mean, we know
Yahweh could be a
Father,
godlet.
the Son, and the Holy Spirit through other scriptures, but sure. Go on.
So, and let them have dominion over the fish. Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish in the sea and the fowl of the air, and over the cattle and all of the earth, and every other creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth.
Okay.
So God created man in his own image. In the image God created him, male and female He created them.
Okay.
Oh, this one doesn't say anything about the clay. Where's that one?
Well, no. You're right. You didn't get it. You just have to read it. You just got to read it in order. But first, let's establish something. Let's establish it's a 24-hour day, and that the whole day went by, and He did things in that day. Right? A whole 24-hour period went by, and a day went by.
Things?
You know,
was there a sequence to those things?
The first set of verses is not a sequential thing. It's this is what happened in that time.
It is a sequential thing. Each day has its own thing that happens in each sequence. This is the first day. This happened on the first day. This is the second day. First, second, third, fourth is what is by definition a sequence. The days are sequential, and whatever happens on each day is described. So there's a sequential. There's a sequential amount, like there's 7 sequential days in which different things happened on each day.
So where are you getting
what day? What day was the water made?
So this to me looks like it is reading out things chronologically in a stepwise order.
I don't disagree with that.
Where are you getting this idea that the days are sequential, but the events within the day aren't? Where's that? Is that coming from the text?
I'm not saying they're not. I'm saying all I was simply saying was that we have a full day here, not 1,000 years.
What's the crux of this
and
argument?
Not 1 or 2 hours. It's a full day. That's all I was trying to say.
He was saying there are no contradictions in the Bible, and I was saying there are ones that I perceive as contradictory.
And then he went to this
it depends on your interpretation.
Okay, sure. So then if you go to chapter
there are
2,
interpretations which hold no contradictions, and they've been held for thousands of years, and the interpretation has been studied for thousands of years, and when you interpret it in that way, there's no contradiction. If you're going to make up your own way of interpreting it, then yeah, you can make contradictions in any text, no matter which text you pick. So, but it doesn't really show anything.
Well, I know, but I want to answer it, because if he wants to know, there's no reason why I can't help him with this contradiction. So go to chapter 2 then, and chapter 2 says, in the day that he made it, and then it goes on to explain what happened in that day. So go ahead and go to chapter 2.
Sure. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. What does that mean?
That means
no more stars are being born.
Yeah, so this is the 7th day, and I believe it will say he rested.
He's making stars. 7th day ended his work, sanctified it, and restarted from the all, and the generations of the heaven and the earth were created, and the day that the Lord made the earth and the heavens, and every plant on the field that was before the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, for the Lord had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. But there... Yeah.
So when you read that,
hang on, that's really interesting, isn't it? There's not a man to till the ground.
Yep.
So there's already animals.
I believe that
on day 4, 5, he's created man and Adam and Eve.
So I believe,
and then on day 7, there's not a man to till the ground.
I believe. I'm going to pull it up here. You said New King James is what you're reading from, or New King James, just so I have it in front of me.
KJV. Okay, then the next one. So then from the mist went up from the earth and the water facing the ground, and the God formed man in the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living soul. And the God planted eastward in Eden.
If you go back to if you go back to the beginning of 4, it's an ending sentence, and if you read the original text, there's a break in paragraph, meaning it's starting a new thought. And so when he says, these are the generations of heavens and the earth when they were created in the day that the Lord God made the earths and the heavens and every plant. So in other words, he's going back to the day where he created man, and it's telling the story of the day of that creation.
Exactly. It doesn't end on the chapter 1 ends, but the thought ends a couple verses into chapter 2.
Yeah. Okay. So the thought
it's just because back in the day when they had a guy in a fryer writing it out, they didn't have chapters back in those days. The chapters were imposed much later. So
can I understand why then?
And that's an actual thing every Bible scholar knows too. This is not like a new thought that we made up. This is the original understanding about the Bible before they even had chapters. The Bible didn't originally have chapters. Before chapters were in the Bible, the original thought ended after this is when the host of heavens or whatever. That's when the actual thought ended, and then they went on to the more specific thing later that you're going to, I'm sure, claim as a second story or something retarded.
Well, no, okay.
Is it retarded? Is it really retarded?
Let him have a chance to even get it across. Okay, let's start. So go ahead and.
It is because if I already know it, it means it's been proven long ago. Like these things happen. These things happened thousands of years ago before you ever thought you had the novel idea that it was contradictory.
Is interrupting me asking a question to say the same thing again. We get it. You think it's been this interpretation for a long time. Believe me, I get it. The question is, in the first one...
I don't think that's a fact. Are you ignoring all of history? Are you now in Q-Op side?
I think it's hubris to think you know what people 2,000 years ago thought.
Dude, they were.
It's literally written down in history.
Forth to try and walk through some steps. Can you stop interrupting the steps, please?
Yeah, we're having a great conversation, and he might disagree with me, I might disagree with him, but everybody's learning and everybody's having a calm conversation. So just let him. So go ahead. So that's what I believe. I believe that when you get
what
to
steps was that guy alluding to, or was he just bullshitting?
I'm just trying to ask a question. Can I ask the question? Just let me know when you're ready to answer a question.
Go. I mean, I'm ready. So
the question is, in Genesis 1, if it is the case that on the 5th day, he created first Adam, then the
No,
animal.
that's the 6th day. That's the 6th day. The 6th day is when he creates man and beast. Yeah, the 5th day is like birds, and the 5th day is birds and fish and stuff.
Yeah, but the story afterwards tells us that in the 3rd day he created a garden and put Adam and Eve in it.
So that's,
no, it doesn't.
So I don't agree.
Where'd you get that from?
Yeah, I don't agree with the 3rd day.
Actually,
garden
it does.
So
because it says in there before. Hold on, let me get to it. It says before the earth had gotten any water or any plants had grown, he planted a garden and put a man in it. I'm pretty sure that's what it says.
It says before rain, but
It
not.
says the plants were already planted. They just hadn't been watered. So the plants
Right,
the plants are planted. The plants were planted on day 3, but they had not been watered for day 4 or 5.
Riding one eggshell, to answer your question, you had read, and that was the 5th day, and then went on to the 6th. You did read the words, that was the 5th day, but you were reading the end of the 5th day and the start of the 6th when he created man.
I see how I've got that. I still would like to ask the question if anybody's ready for it.
Go ahead. Your question's still
Why
valid.
on the 6th? Why on the 6th day does he describe? Is a chronological looking order given out of chronology? Because the two options, very simple 2 options are: A, describe it chronologically, it's a fucking chronology, or B, say, this is not in a chronology. Give hints that this is not in a chronology. On that day, he did a bunch of things, including but. But this looks for all the world like it says, like it's got, and God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, and the creeping thing, the beast, and the earth after his kind, and it was so.
Yep.
And God made the beast after his kind. And can you see how it's reading like a narrative? It's reading like a narrative where it's going, this happened, and then each sentence seems to start with, and that happened, and then it gets to so God created man in his own image, and like it does this thing in a kind of like it's giving a narrative.
Agree. Yep. So let's see if that narrative follows when we get to Genesis 2 and verse 4. So when we start in verse 4, these are the generations of heavens and earth when they were created. Looking back at what he just said, he's just giving an overview. This is the days. In the day that the Lord made the earth and heavens, and every plant of the field and everything before it was on the earth, and every herb of the field, for the Lord had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not man to till the ground. He's getting into a specific story, and then he goes on, but there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. In other words, before man was created on the 6th day, that is how it was watered. No rain had come. So then he gets in, and the Lord God formed man out of this ground. He's not saying that all the animals came after. He's talking about how he created man. Again, I look at this and I say, okay, well, why is he getting specific about the creation of man? Because man's more important than animals. Like that to me, it's just a hey. When I said it, I went over. I wanted to get the days of creation because God's more important than man. I want to establish the days of creation. I want to establish why the Sabbath day is important. I want to establish who your creator is. Now that we've done that in the first chapter, here's why you're important, because I created you. And so therefore here is your creation.
There's no disagreement about that, though. The question is, why is it described in the first one out of order? Not why does I get him going into it.
So it's not. So
no, it's in order. Hold on. This verse specifically says, and are you saying Genesis 2:19, and out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them? That's not out of order. That's saying that's where he formed them from before he brought them to him. So he made them before he brought them to Adam. And he made them before he made Adam. Dude, it's clearly there.
I'm going to say the same thing he just said. I'm going to say it in a slightly different way. He could have created all the animals, but then created them again to walk in front of Adam so Adam could name them. Not that he's creating them in the sense of he didn't create them before, but creating them in the sense that, okay, now I want Adam to name them, so therefore I'm going to
now he's
them in front of
confusing
Adam.
you, bro. You're confusing him.
No, that's ridiculous. Let me read it.
Wait. What Torah said was simple and to the point, and actually explained it. What that guy did was just add a bunch of confusion.
Okay,
Did you understand what Torah said? Did you understand what Torah said, Eggshells? Could you steel man what Torah said? Can you steel man it?
Yes. Both are saying pretty much the
No,
same
could
thing.
you steel man it?
Yes, I'm doing that. What the fuck do you think I would start with when I say they're saying the same thing and
Sounds
then
like a whole
start
lot
saying
of
what they're
Nash
saying,
Narman.
you dingus? They're both saying the same thing, which is that the claim is that 18 and 19 are not talking about a sequence in which they were made, but in which they were presented to Adam. They're saying they could have been made before and shown to him. Is that both of your points?
Well, it's not even about shown to him. Out of
Isn't that
the
your
ground is where the beast came from, and out of the air is where the fowl came from. So that's where he formed them from, and then he brought them unto Adam. So it's just repeating that's where he formed them from. It's not saying he first made Adam and then did this. It's already been done, obviously.
Well,
yeah, Torah's got it. It's not specifying chronologically. In that verse, it's not specifying
like
chronologically when the birth. It looks like it is, would be your assumption that you're adding to the text.
I'll just read it out.
What is it? What would it be like? Exegete? You would exegete? That's you adding to the text. You're adding your idea to the text.
I want to read
you're not taking from the
all
text.
these words are not the Bible. The words you guys are saying are not the Bible. I just keep saying, can I read the text? And you guys are running from a man reading the Bible in order to understand.
Nobody's running from you. Nobody's running from you, deceiver.
I literally just read it.
Nobody's running from you, deceiver. Nobody's afraid of that.
And the Lord said, "It is not good that a man should be alone. I will make an help meet for him."
Yep.
And out of the ground the Lord formed every beast and every fowl of the air and brought them unto Adam to see which he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. Where is this saying that they aren't a sequence of events?
Hold on, the way that you read that was weird, because I read it like this.
Those are the words.
And out of the ground that the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see. What?
Okay. Sure. So I don't get why that would be different, but it's not what's in the KJV as I read it on my screen. Maybe my eyes are wrong or the website's wrong or something's wrong. But I'm just saying it sounds like the way it's describing it is the Lord God goes, "Oh, Adam's lonely. That sucks." So then, and it starts with, out of the ground he formed every beast and every fowl of the air, and then he brought them to Adam. He did these things 3 in a row. I think each was a cause and effect. The cause was, he's going to be lonely. The effect was, I'm going to make them, which gave the next cause to the effect of bringing them to Adam, which gave the cause to the next effect of Adam gets to name them. All of those appear to be in an order, and you guys are being like, hey, let's just go to the text. Let's talk about that text. Where is it saying these are out of...
I agree with you, though, writing. I definitely agree. I agree that it does seem like it is in order, but I think you could understand from our point as well.
Writing.
Well, so here's the question. Could they have said, and out of the ground, Lord had already formed every beast of the field, as he had already formed every fowl of the air, and it was at this time he brought them unto Adam for him to see them, and whatsoever every living thing called every creature, that was its name now, blah, 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 blah. Is it possible that he could have put that in the text, in a very specific text about the start of creation that is infallible, written by God, pretty much?
So,
is it possible to add those 2 bits to make it clear?
It's possible to add a lot of things. Okay. Can I point to the scripture that you read, give you some thought of something you might have overlooked, read it again, and tell me what you think it's saying? Okay?
Okay, go for it.
So, when he talks about the creation of the animals, can you identify the purpose of the creation of those animals? If you had to say 2 or 3 words or 2 or 3 points, why is he bringing up the creation of those animals there? I believe there's 2 major points.
You think there's 2 major? We're still talking about Genesis 2, 18, 19, right?
18, 19. Yep. There's 2 reasons why he creates those. I believe there's 2. When you read it right there in those verses, you read them. I believe there's 2
I only say one explicit. You could make another implicit one, I guess.
So no, let's start with the
explicit
one
is that. Yeah, the explicit one is that man should not be alone.
That was a major one. The second one would be to name it, which I think is less. So I believe the most important one is...
No, I definitely don't say the second one.
Okay, fine. I don't have to... The major one, I would say, is to show that man is alone. Right? or you said that? Did I present it in the correct way? To show that man is alone, right?
Do you mean, just to clarify, do you mean alone as in there aren't animals, or alone as in there isn't Eve, or alone in what way?
I would say alone, and the animals aren't a qualifying filler of said whole. So Adam has a void in his life. He needs someone else, and animals don't fill it. Another human fills it. So I believe that's the point of the story, is that the animals aren't the filling of that hole. It is a woman that will fill that void that is missing. I believe that's the point of the story. So
yeah, if you're in nature and you're in a forest and there's a squirrel, you're still by yourself over there. Hey, someone calls you on the phone. Where you at? You in the forest? Yeah, I'm in the forest.
All of that.
Are you? And you're like, are you alone? And you look at the floor and there's a squirrel in front of you. Yeah, I'm alone. The squirrel's not a person.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to agree to that if somebody can make it relevant.
So then, so when you read the story, and do you think it's important that Noah took the time to learn of the animals, see what God created, and then God creates for him Eve to show that he needs this woman? That there's something better than the animals as a practice and a show to the first man, that he needs a woman.
Oh, so you're saying God already knows that he's not going to be satisfied banging sheep. So he's going to get the animals for him, show them to him, and be like, see how unsatisfactory these are, to prove to Adam, because he already knows Adam. Adam doesn't know himself yet. And it's not until he makes the woman, he's sort of doing, is that what you're saying? That he's doing it to make Adam more appreciative?
I believe if you keep reading in the story about what he says when the woman comes along, yes, I believe that's part of the story, is that to show that the woman is that important to Adam. Yes, I believe that's the point of the story.
Well, it also shows that animals are
not how I read
it.
Okay,
it's not how I read it. To me, it looks like a guy playing in a garden, not expecting what's going to happen next, not fully knowing how these beings will behave, and trying things out, and then going, oh, hang on, I've got a better idea. That's how it looks to me.
So let's keep.
That's complete exegete.
And then let's
sure. He's asking me how it seems to me. I don't think.
And you're being honest.
How it seems
to you're being honest. Why would you not be honest? So let's keep reading together then, and take some more thought. Could you keep reading?
Yeah. Could you just explain how that reasoning for doing it, whether it is that or isn't that, can you explain the relevance that has then on the order of the events?
I believe that is so I believe that as you keep reading and see that is the point of the story, it shows the reasoning behind giving the animals first, because the animals signify I create. So he's in the garden, and God is kind of saying through the story, the garden was for man. And then he brings the animals and shows that the animals are for man, and that the animals are named and important. But then he goes on to show that above and beyond that, woman is for man. And so he's going through a sequential order of the important things that God made for man.
So you're reading Genesis 2, you're reading Genesis 2, not Genesis 1?
Exactly. So
we're at 2 right
here's
now.
One explanation I've heard from people who are religious is that this is evidence that the early church fathers accepted and expected there to be difference in scripture, and that was resolvable. That was not as in resolvable in that one's true and the other's false, but sort of it was a manageable dissonance that you could put up with, where you could go, it's so clear that Genesis is true, but we might be niggling on these two different issues because what it appears to be is two different traditions.
How do you know that not to just be a random opinion and actually fact?
It could be a random opinion.
So why are you bringing that up if you have no? You're saying
I was nearly at that point, but your dissonance took over and you interrupted.
No, it's not dissonance, bro. It's a fucking honest question, dude. You're just going with fucking hearsay. It's not dissonance when I hear you saying some guy said that you inject some shit about something someone knew about someone in the first century. The only way you'd be able to know that is if you had a citation, some piece of history to look back to, which you obviously don't have. It's not me having a dissonance or whatever. It's just honestly listening to you and seeing the fucking fat plot holes in what you're saying.